Hello and welcome to Six Part. Today I'm going to start a new series, What If Deku Was a Half Demon Part 1. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and to watch more videos like this, subscribe to my channel and turn that bell notification on so you never miss an upload. Now wasting no more time, let's begin.
With a faint form of telekinesis that drew tiny objects to her, Inko was an ordinary person with no unusual quirks. Her companion Mitsuki was also of little service in assisting others or even in thwarting evildoers. Part of the reason she didn't want to be a hero was her peculiarity. In addition to the fact that there are thousands of professional heroes in the world, she was never suited for hero employment. The emblem of peace could be liked by someone. She therefore didn't care. However, the dream was to want to start a family with someone. When she found children playing with their peculiarities, she dreamed. Their spouses are always prepared to lend a hand, and their mothers are always delighted to see their children so content and playful. The more she witnessed that, the more she aspired to be a mother who delighted in spending time with her children. However, nobody appeared to be interested in her, and vice versa. All she wanted was her own family. She was unaware, however, that a hooded figure was observing. He was glaring at her in particular because he thought she was an interesting individual and would need to be watched going forward. Mitsuki Bakugo, a friend, had attempted to arrange dates for her. However, each time her friend made an attempt, Inko showed no interest in the dates. Always said that the cycle would recur and that it never worked out for her. However, Mitsuki persisted and would support her pal, whatever transpired. "Come on Inko, I tried everything to get you a boyfriend and hopefully to get you settled down. But it has not worked." With a sigh, Mitsuki addressed her friend. Inko was searching for that special someone, but every date she had arranged had the same response. She wasn't interested in the person, and the date's subjects were either more interested in her appearance or her peculiarity than in her as a person. As a result, she ended the dates, thinking they were pigs. "I know Mitsuki, but it just does not click. You know I'm just not interested in those types of guys," Inko said, turning to face her buddy. Knowing that her friend had her best interests in mind, she said. At least her pal made an effort. However, Inko was prepared to look for that individual in the hopes of having a fulfilling relationship. Mitsuki chose to let Inko go to the clothes store, and when she arrived, she picked up some toys and other items. She was in the same store as the previous hoodie figure, who saw Inko and decided she may be helpful to his lord before he left without her noticing. Inko made the decision to drive home. Thus, Mitsuki and Inko both walked home after saying goodbye to their friend. The hoodie figure saw Inko's departure. Taking heed of Inko's remarks regarding settling down is also going his way. Inko went straight to the shower as soon as she arrived home. She fell asleep after that. After getting dressed and waking up the following morning, she entered an empty room filled with toys that she had arranged for the baby she desired a euro. She didn't care if it was a boy or a girl. For now, though, it was only a fantasy. Thus, she made the decision to leave till the phone rang. "Hello Inko," was uttered by an enigmatic man answering the phone. When Inko asked who this was, he answered. She asked worriedly, "Who is this?" Since she had no idea who it was. "This is Mitsuki Bakugo's buddy, and she occasionally speaks to me about you. I overheard that you were looking for a husband, and I just so happen to have a friend. I'm not sure if my friend will help you, but hopefully he will change his mind and help a friend in need, and in return, help him out. Unfortunately, we lost contact after middle school, but she always brought you up," he said. "Come see me at a church so we can meet my pal." Before she could ask Davis any more questions, he hung up, leaving Inko irritated and letting out a sigh. She agreed to meet him with his friend and said, "See you there, Inko. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me." Therefore, she got into her car and drove off to meet Mitsuki's friend. The friend of Mitsuki was not a friend at all. He was a satanic worshipper who wanted to wipe out everything and bring the devil to the living realm. When Inko arrived at the church, she saw that it was gorgeous to the outside, appearing to have been built just a few months ago, both inside and out. However, Inko was not religious by any means. She didn't believe in angels or demons of the sort that she believed in. She continued walking and came across a man with blonde hair that was slicked back and blue eyes, and another who appeared to be his friend had black hair and red eyes. "Hello Inko, nice to have you here," said the blonde man, but Inko didn't understand why he wanted to meet her in the church. "Well, you know my friend here is really religious about God, so he just finished with his prayers and wanted to meet you here to save some time," Inko asked, pointing to Hisashi. "Anyway, thank you for coming. I know that it seems strange for us to call you here, however, my friend needed assistance in this new location, and I eventually want to start a family of his own. Since my friend Mitsuki mentioned you, you were ideal for showing him around. Davis stated gratefully as Inko nodded her head. When Davis saw her, Inko said, "Hello, to the blonde man in front of her, and she was about to say his name when she realized she didn't have one. Davis replied with his name, Davis, and Ink said, "Hello, to him once more. Davis introduced her to his friend, Inko. "This is my friend named Hisashi." Hisashi was dressed in a tuxedo, had black hair, and green eyes. Inko was enthralled with his attractive appearance. After noticing this, the man turned aside, embarrassed, and they both began laughing at Inko's embarrassment. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Ms. Midoriya," Hisashi stated with a bright smile as Inko hung out and observed the world. Hisashi and Inko then went out to chill around. Knowing that his job was accomplished, Davis grinned and laughed. Him too. Inko and Hisashi went out to hang out after hearing the statement. "Well, I'm sure you two would like to get to know each other more. So why don't you two get to spend time together and hang out and see what is out there?" Knowing that his job was accomplished, Davis grinned and laughed. As soon as Inko and Hisashi were together, the world would be filled with nothing but anger and rage like never before, and everyone would serve his master Trigon. He truly detested everything about humanity, including their small arguments, caged heroes, and villains. 10 days prior, hooded people were everywhere in the church. At the moment, that was attempting to call forth Satan. Due to the presence of black smoke and the appearance of 4 red glowing eyes that glared at the cultist who had summoned him, the ritual was performed with the satanic circle in the center, candles lit. The creature asked, "What do you want, mortal?" To which one of the cultists replied, "We came to summon you and bring you here so that you wipe everything away." The creature was aware that Trigon needed a means of entering the living world in order to conquer all of reality. However, he was aware that calling him by these mortals was insufficient. He needed an offspring to assist him. Considering that he can only exist as someone else in the living realm, this was a chance. The creature made the cultist perspire in terror as it said, "So you want to summon me, fine, but bring me a mate so that I can access the world and every living thing shall bow to me. That is my command. Or I will watch as I roast you fresh for all eternity." After following instructions and conducting a search, one of the cultists returned a few days later with some positive news. "Speak." The thing murmured as the cultist approached the heart of the church, bowed down, and emerged with the 4 red flashing eyes. "Master, I have good news for you." "I looked for a mate," the cultist said. "I came across an intriguing individual. Inko Midoriya, a woman who has expressed a desire to start a family, would be the ideal partner for you if we could bring her into the church." After a few moments of staring at the sweating cultist, the entity said, "Bring her to me now," and the cultist nodded before leaving. The cultist returned. Since the cultist claimed she would arrive at any moment, the entity assumed the appearance of Hisashi, a human male with green eyes and black hair. Returning to the present, Inko Midoriya was having a great time with Hisashi, relying on their time together. "So, Hisashi, what do you do for a living?" "I was a military captain once, but I quit because I wanted to settle down and start a family because it became monotonous after a while. I wanted to move to Japan and start a new life, so when I learned from Davis that someone named Inko Midoriya was looking for a family, she said to her friend Hisashi, 'Thanks, I appreciate the thought of you helping me out. I don't know if I'm the person you want, but I'm going to help you find someone to love you and have a family,' Inko said. When he saw All Might on the news, he said, 'He might be a problem in the future if my offspring is influenced by him or all the other heroes in this reality. I'm watching you, All Might.' They went to the carnival and had a great time together, and Inko told Hisashi everything about Earth, how quirks were formed centuries ago, and the symbol of peace, All Might, and other pro-heroes. She also learned about him and how he fled to Japan to start over after his mother was killed. Over time, Hisashi came to love Inko, and Inko came to adore Hisashi. However, that was all a deception on his part. He simply used her to have children so that he could someday conquer this world with his child. A few years later, they would tie the knot, and Inko was wearing a stunning white gown with her maid of honor Mitsuki. Mitsuki told her anxious friend, who was getting married to her future husband Hisashi, "For the last time, Inko, you look beautiful." Inko was anxious since she was getting married shortly and weddings often go horribly wrong. However, Mitsuki assured that she would take care of it. More issues during her wedding were the last thing she needed. "Are you ready, my lord?" Hisashi asked his best man Davis, dressed in a tuxedo. "Let's just get this over with," Hisashi replied, looking at him and nodding. "Don't worry, my lord. Once you marry Inko and have a child, Inko won't matter anymore." According to Davis, Hisashi left the room after finishing that, went to the altar, and waited for his wife. Inko left wearing her white gown. When she arrived at the altar, Hisashi complimented her, saying, "You looked handsome." "Thank you, you look beautiful as well." As they began their vows, the priest said, "Hisashi, you may kiss the bride." As Davis grinned evilly, he said, "Hisashi, ever since I met you have been wonderful to me and showed me nothing but happiness. Thank you, Inko, you were the first person I ever fell in love with and gave me hope that I can live up to expectations as a husband." After returning from their honeymoon, they were on the verge of becoming parents when Hisashi's 2 eyes turned into 4 red eyes, his skin turned red, horns grew on either side of his forehead, and his hair turned white and longer, reaching his backside. Inko was about to scream when Trigon roped her and closed her mouth with a kiss, then she passed out and Trigon vanished. Inko was crying because she had been deceived not just by Davis but also by Hisashi Midoriya, who was really a demon in human form. She wanted a family, therefore she was wondering why this had happened to her and why she didn't deserve it. She felt like an idiot for believing, but instead she got a man or demon exploiting her to obtain what he needed. Inko truly wanted a family, but she should have turned around and fled when she had the chance. When she called Inko for the first time, Mitsuki noticed that she was never the same again, that she didn't feel like doing anything, didn't talk, and didn't go outside except to buy food and clothes. She didn't get anything out of it, and her friend wasn't herself. However, she received no response, leading her to believe that she was with her husband. However, after making 2 and 3 calls, she became concerned and went to the grocery store, where she met Inko and struck up a conversation. Mitsuki turned to face her friend Inko and began to ask her, "What's wrong?" But she received no response, so she started talking again. Angry, she grabbed her by the shirt and said, "Inko, what's wrong with you? What happens to your husband Hisashi?" However, Inko became enraged and retreated from her, yelling at her and saying, "He lied to me, he fucking lied to me, all this time after everything we did together, it was nothing but a fake." She was furious and felt that this was the only way to express her feelings. All he did, everything he said and did was fake, to manipulate me into marrying him, and once we were going to have a family. Inko told Mitsuki, who was shocked to learn that everything her husband did was fake. Mitsuki then asked, "What was fake?" to find out what exactly had happened to her. His skin turned red, his eyes turned into 4 red glowing eyes and horns, and his hair turned white and started to grow longer. When I realized what I was getting into, I screamed, but he stopped me and roped me, and I started to become pregnant with his child. After finishing, Mitsuki was appalled and unsure of how to respond to the revelation that her friend's spouse had been a demon and had taken advantage of her. Worse, she had condoned this. Inko responded to Mitsuki's irate question, "Where is he now?" Mitsuki wanted to teach this punk a lesson. "He gone, he left after he roped me. I don't know where he went, but he is gone and that's all that matters." She was upset with him for deceiving her and didn't want to interact with him. And forced into mating with that demon. "You okay, Inko?" spoke to Mitsuki, who appeared concerned about her buddy and unsure of what to do. "No, I'm not okay, Mitsuki. I was lied to by my husband who turned out to be a demon from hell." "How do you know that he was a demon?" After listening to her friend's account of her alleged husband, she inquired as to if she still harbored suspicions. By all accounts, neither she nor her friend Inko were religious. "Mitsuki, I know what I saw, and he was not human. His skin turned red and also his eyes were glowing red and had 4 eyes. Also he had horns on each side of his forehead. And that smile was not a happy smile, it was an evilest smile I have ever seen, and then roped me. Listen, I gotta go, I want to be alone right now, I'll see you later." "Okay, well, if you need help in any way don't forget to contact me for anything." Mitsuki expressed concern. After a while, Inko felt a bit better, but not much. She was still concerned about the baby she was expecting, wondering if he or she would be a hero and beat his or her father, or if the child would be wicked like his or her father. "Okay, even though he gave me my child, he is no father or husband. He is a demon and I will protect my child from his influence. If he ever returned, either in human or demon form," she vowed to shield her kid from him. She had no idea what she was getting herself into with her baby now carrying her children, and every time she tried to eat something, it felt like she had eaten the sun because the food was always burning in her stomach. The heat radiating from her stomach made her feel like she was going crazy. She started having nightmares in which everything burned to ashes, even though that was further from the reality. She witnessed professional heroes dying from the 2-hero endeavor being burned to ashes, which was ironic given that he is the top hero all might to other heroes and even villains, and that he uses fire quirks to even best genist. However, it was these creatures that resembled him, and had crimson skin and 4 red eyes that truly caught her interest. Inko, however, took a closer look and screamed when she noticed that the giant monster, which dwarfed everything she saw, was actually her husband, Hisashi. The demon was 87 feet tall and could tower above skyscrapers. All she could do was stare in terror as the giant demon split a building in two, causing it to catch fire, and spat rays out of his eyes. She started screaming when she woke up from the dream, and her forehead was drenched in perspiration. Don't be scared, it was only a nightmare, it was only a nightmare. But it felt so real. Could it be a vision of the future? I hope not. I will protect you, my child, don't worry. After a few days, Inko started to experience more severe stomach discomfort that was nearly intolerable. She thought she might lose it and even thought about killing herself. However, she decided against it after considering the baby. That is a good mindset to have, Ms. Midoriya. It would be tragic to have you die, while the baby has a chance to live. When Midoriya looked up, she saw a hooded person and asked her what she desired. What do you want? Inko started to speak, and the hooded figure replied, to help with raising the baby if you let me. The last time I trusted someone, they lied to me and got me to fall in love with the man that I thought loved me, but he didn't. Inko, I know that you wanted a family. I know that you also were brought into a cult and loved a demon and got you pregnant. I know that you struggle with the baby that's in you, and the baby you have in you is a half-demon. Please, I just want to help you and bring you to a place where you will not follow. The figure in a hoodie asked Inko. How do I know you're not lying to me? Replied. Because I meet that demon you speak of before, and as he feared throughout the universe, killing millions of people in the galaxy and destroyed worlds and conquered as well. Inko was astounded by the number of people he had murdered, but much more so by the fact that the universe itself scared him. She was afraid of him, but she was also afraid of the universe because of how many people he had killed. Okay, just help me please. That's what I hear from Ms. Midoriya. The hooded form opened a doorway and motioned for her to step through. After some hesitation, she stepped inside. When she did, Inko was amazed by the metropolis that appeared to be reminiscent of ancient Greece. Similar to the person she met, there were others wearing white cloaks. What is this place? Inquired Inko. Quirks were one thing, but Inko was astonished to learn that, we are in another dimension that is removed from your universe called Azereth. Don't worry, we are capable of interdimensional travel, so we can always go back to Earth if we wanted. However, it seemed impossible to travel to another dimension, and it seemed crazy that this individual could accomplish such things. Okay, so what do I do now? Now you need to learn magic in order to protect yourself and your son. Magic, but I thought it was made up. Oh, it's very much real. Let me show you. Her hands emitted a burst of energy and began to glow white. Inko was amazed by her many abilities, including telekinesis and force fields. In addition to learning how to fly, shoot energy blasts, make energy shields, and perform other things, Inko also improved her telekinesis and is now able to carry large objects like vehicles and boulders. The dimension was about peace and calm in Azereth, and Inko enjoyed that there was no crime, no villains, and no heroes here. She met the person who governed this area, Azar, and she was all about peace. Izuku, who had green eyes and green hair, was born 9 months later. The stone on the forehead, however, was what truly got them. Inko desired to make contact. However, Azar stopped her, stating that it might have a bad impact on him. Izuku started reading books about mystic arts, and Inko told him about heroes from her universe. As time went on, he realized that whenever he started to express emotion, he would use his powers to blow something up. Azar and the monks advised him to control his emotions unless he intended to harm someone. He started to repress his feelings to the extent that he would come across as emotionless. However, he had a decent heart and aspired to be a hero, which made Inko smile. Izuku was engaged in his favorite activity, meditation. When things spiral out of control, it helps him maintain composure. Surprisingly, Azar's suggestion to help him control his emotions was successful. The history of Azereth society and how it operates as a peaceful species that rejects violence by casting out evil and relocating it were the subjects of the texts he read. He also discovered that the magic had existed for ages. Magic and what he could do with it captivated him. Izuku went to Azar's temple and said, "Hello, Azar." He remarked, in a monotone, "Hi Izuku, how are you?" She claimed he was fine and asked, "Where is my mother?" She pointed to the house perched on a cliff. To find out if his mother needed anything from him, he was going to speak with her. He was unable to physically express his emotions, but he was able to do it in his mind. He was usually embarrassed when something went wrong without accidentally blowing something up. "Hello Izuku." Inko said, "Hello mother, how are you today?" She replied that she was fine, just doing housework. Izuku now understood quirks and how they originated from a single pinky joint in the toe, which he thought was foolish because he wondered how a single pinky toe could give someone a quirk. However, based on his theory, he was quirkless. But due to his unusual ancestry, it didn't really matter. Although he was aware that he was human, he had a sneaking suspicion that he was also something else. 10 years have passed since his birth, during which time he has discovered all of his abilities, including the ability to control emotions, shoot energy blasts, form energy shields, phase light and dark magic through objects, and likely perform other tasks. His mother always claimed that everyone had a single quirk, so even though he might have other powers to uncover, that much was certain. But it was clear that he was more than human and had a number of peculiarities. However, he found it bothersome that she would always swiftly sidestep the topic and divert his attention when he asked who her father was. Izuku wasn't a moron. He was aware that his mother was concealing something and that he would have to ask the library for the solution if he wanted it. After arriving at the library and searching for a few minutes without finding anything, he eventually found what he was looking for. He looked at the book for the answers and said, "Oh, this is interesting." He read about a demon that Trigon had given him a name, and it was said that this demon was a strong being. After finishing, he resumed his power training, which involved starting to meditate. After finishing that, he started to approach Azar and resumed their conversation. "Hello Azar, can you tell me about the demon Trigon? How do you know that name?" asked Azar in disbelief. "I've read about it in one of the books that spoke about a demon named Trigon. That book is dangerous knowledge about the one who shall not be named. I recommend not touching that book because of the knowledge it holds." Azar was concealing information about something. However, he nodded and returned home to his mother, not wanting to annoy Azar. Izuku said to his mother, "Hello Izuku, how was your day?" "It was just reading books and meditating. Nothing special." Thus, he fell asleep. Izuku returned to the library the following day to read the book that contained the prohibited knowledge of the demon known as Trigon because he was curious about his father. After obtaining the necessary information, he performed the rite. He lighted some candles and a circle with a star inside, copying the ceremony. Red lightning erupted and the sky became red when the ceremony was completed. He was appalled by what he saw, which must have been his father in Izuku's eyes since it revealed 4 red flashing eyes and a silhouette that grew into a frightening red demon that was 87 feet tall. In Azareth, everyone was yelling and fleeing. Inko, meantime, stared up in horror and fear for Izuku's life. Trigon gave his son a menacing smirk before raising both of his hands and releasing a stream of crimson energy that began destroying everything and everyone, including Inko. Izuku cried out in amazement, and then something emerged from him. His soul self materialized as a giant, dark raven. However, Trigon's soul self was dark purple and confined, and he made every effort to escape. However, Izuku was eventually locked in it when the diamond on his forehead emerged. When all was said and done, Izuku's father destroyed Azareth. The crystal in his forehead fell to the ground. After picking it up and placing it back in his forehead, Izuku sobbed for several minutes or even hours. He was crying for an unknown amount of time. However, he remained there for some time. After finishing, he unlocked a gateway and entered the Japanese city. He was amazed by the metropolis in front of him as he gazed around. His mother had always told him about how lovely her home in Japan was, and he was not at all let down. As he strolled through Japan, he noticed people with peculiar traits, which he assumed were their peculiarities. He wasn't a hero fanatic who kept books about the eccentricities of heroes and villains or had items with a might theme in his room. He was aware of professional heroes from when his mother read him books about the world's heroes. He does, however, admire heroes. Izuku wandered about for a while before spotting a flat screen that displayed all of humanity rescuing civilians while he stood atop the bus grinning broadly. Izuku gazed blankly at the phrase, "It's fine now." "Why? Because I'm here," All Might exclaimed. What a cliché line, All Might. After hearing a scream in an alleyway, he turned to investigate and discovered a female wearing a ponytail with a robber holding a knife to her throat. Mentioning money in some way. With white eyes, Izuku repeated, "Azareth Metreon Zinthos." Dark energy erupted from his hands, striking the man unconscious. He turned to leave, but the girl watched him and then said, "Wait," as he halted. "Thank you for helping me. What's your name?" As he took off, he said, "Izuku Midoriya, and you're welcome. What's yours?" "See you Yayorozu." After first meeting Momo Yayorozu, he started traveling around Japan and discovering what the world had to offer. He visited a few restaurants, but he was unable to purchase anything because he was broke, so he just stared at the food until his stomach began to growl, thinking it was crap, because it made him hungry. Izuku looked up to see a blond boy with blue eyes wearing a sort of school uniform and holding a hot dog when someone approached him and said, "Hungry." "Who are you?" Izuku said. Izuku cocked an eyebrow and said, "Izuku Midoriya." The blond boy identified himself as Mirio Tagata. and Izuku took the hot dog and began to eat. Midoriya thought he didn't know enough about this world. He knew about pro-heroes and quirks from the stories his mother used to read him, but he didn't know the school here because his school was in Azereth. Mirio began the conversation by asking, "So you are going to UA? Is this some type of school?" Izuku answered him, unsure of how to respond. "Yeah. So are you a hero in training?" Izuku said, "No, not yet, but someday." He smiled broadly, reminding him of his greatness, and said, "I'm going to UA." "So what is UA anyway?" Izuku asked him startlingly. How did this kid not know about UA? Mirio thought, so he started to explain that UA was a hero school for aspiring heroes who wanted to learn how to be heroes. Izuku said, "Heroes in training, huh?" He might have to go to the UA to check it out, and he would thank Mirio for the hot dog and walk away. Izuku was alone in the world, without a mother, an Azar, or anything to help him. He went to the library to learn more about this world, and he read a ton of books. One book explained that the origins of quirks began in China with a baby who had the ability to glow, and that 80% of people had quirks, while 20% of the population had fewer quirks and were socially shunned. He wandered around the city for a good minute after finishing his meditation and reading more library books, and then he came upon a neighborhood that seemed familiar to him because his mother had always told him about it when he was younger. He was strolling around the neighborhood when he noticed a house and knocked on it twice. When he stepped through the door, the room was empty. Possibly because the family who had moved in was on vacation, but he started to expect the house, and to his surprise, it was the same house he was investigating. He was curious about the other house, but he saw a house that his mother had told him about, a house she had told him about before she moved to Azereth. When he opened the door, he saw a plain-looking room with nothing special about it, so he left. When he knocked on the door, a woman with blonde hair and red eyes answered, "Who are you?" "I'm sorry, MS. But I'm Izuku Midoriya. I'm the son of your friend Inko." When he finished, the woman's eyes widened in surprise at the name, thinking her friend had died or disappeared. "Come in," she said as Izuku entered the house, which was quite attractive, with the woman sitting on the couch and Izuku sitting on the chair while the blonde woman told him she was going to make tea. "I'm Mitsuki and your mother Inko was a good friend of mine back in middle school. She and I did everything together and ever since then we kept up when we got older," she said after she returned, recounting how she and Inko became close friends. "I then attempted to arrange several dates for her because she wanted a family. Before she met a man named Davis, it didn't work. She met a man named Hisashi after he deceived her. They gradually grew in love, but before they could conceive, Hisashi revealed his true identity as a demon, roped your mother, and then fled. I told her to call me if she needed anything after she told me what had happened. However, she vanished after that, and I searched everywhere for her. Police searched for her, and even professional heroes searched for her, but to no avail. She disappeared so gradually after that, but I never gave up hope that she would come back," Mitsuki remembered. Izuku was shocked to learn that his mother and Mitsuki had been friends since middle school. She had known they were friends, but not to this degree. He smiled, causing the cup she was holding to explode, causing her to yell in surprise at the abrupt action. "Sorry," Izuku said, embarrassed by the situation, but Mitsuki told him not to apologize and took another one. Powerful skills like energy blast, telekinesis, emotion manipulation, force fields, and more are made possible by my quirk, and I believe I will be able to do much more as time goes on. However, there is a drawback to using these abilities. He described his peculiarities, saying, "I have to control my emotions at all times unless I want to hurt someone." Mitsuki was astounded by the number of peculiarities this child possessed. But sad since this prevents him from feeling any emotions. "Where is your mother?" Izuku winced at the question as he informed her that she had passed away. "Sorry about that," she said, and Izuku went on to go somewhere. Since he had no home yet, he wandered around for a while until he noticed a man wearing goggles and having black eyes and hair. When Izuku saw that he was fighting a jerk, his eyes briefly turned red, and he was about to use his quirk before realizing that he could no longer do so. Izuku found it fascinating that he was canceling out someone else's ability, and he knocked the man out as a result. Aizawa looked at Izuku with interest and said, "Come with me. Look, kid, using your quirk in public is illegal." Izuku flew away, but the scar around him stopped him, bringing him down. "Look, kid, using your quirk in public is illegal." Izuku flew up again, shocking the man. "I don't want to get into trouble," he said, dropping down as he claimed he didn't have a quirk, which baffles the man. "But how do you explain the flying and why wasn't erased by him?" Aizawa asked. This day just became much more intriguing when Aizawa stated, "No, I need to test something out, now come with me." Izuku, seeing no other option, followed him. While Aizawa was wondering why his quirk didn't work on the child, Izuku was wondering what he needed to see in his eyes, if he was here to test out his abilities, and what happened when he discovered that his powers were not a quirk. These questions needed to be answered, and he was going to test out this kid's abilities. When they arrived at their destination, they saw a beach, but it wasn't a beautiful beach. Aizawa wanted to see how quickly this child could clean the beach, so he said, "Alright kid, let's see if can clean this beach," and no quirk got it. Izuku nods his head as he approaches the refrigerator and picks it up with one hand. The beach was filthy, with trash bags all over it and a refrigerator on the beach that was obviously not being cleaned at all. Izuku glanced at him and said, "I'm not using my quirk, this is my natural strength, Aizawa." Aizawa sighed, "I said no quirk." She was surprised to learn that the child's inherent strength was lifting a refrigerator as if it were nothing, as only All Might was capable of doing that. Aizawa thought, Jesus, this kid isn't even using his quirk and he can lift a refrigerator that big. Well, just keep on doing what you're doing. Izuku continued cleaning the beach, and after 40 minutes, he was finished. Aizawa was impressed with this kid, who he thought would take months to clean the beach. Good, now that's over with. What's your name, kid? Izuku Midoriya. Now let's find out what your quirk is. Aizawa ran to him as Izuku's hands began to glow black, chanting, Azereth Metreon Zinthos, and hurling energy blasts at him. Aizawa went wide-eyed as he tried to kick his bast, but Izuku used his powers to create a telekinetic force field that stopped the kick completely. He can create force fields too. Just what is Midoriya's quirk? Aizawa then decided to use his capture tape and wrap around Izuku, but Izuku flew up and shot dark energy at him, which he dodged, but was hit by a dark fist that Izuku created. Before Aizawa could hit the ground, he flipped and landed on his feet. What was that? Was that a fist that hit me? Aizawa said, crossing his arms. Aizawa said, yeah, just let me try one thing, use your quirk and I'll try to erase it. Izuku arched an eyebrow, but complied, causing his hands to glow dark and his eyes to glow white. Aizawa used his quirk on Midoriya, but nothing happened. His hands and eyes continued to glow dark. Interesting, my quirk can't erase his, he thought to himself. Aizawa said, well, you can't walk the streets by yourself all day, you can live with me until you can find a place to stay on your own deal. So kid, why were you wondering at nighttime? Because I don't have a home to go to. What, no mom, no dad? Izuku nodded his head. No. Mom got killed by a vile attack. Sorry about your loss, kid. Aside from the fact that he didn't want to spend all of his time in Aizawa's home, Izuku nodded to him. Izuku thus temporarily resided in Aizawa. The house was really simple and nothing exceptional. However, Izuku appreciated Aizawa's simplicity and could respect that about him. He gradually came to understand that he was a nighttime hero who plays hero at work. He avoided the media because he found it annoying to interact with them. As his liking for him grew, Izuku also found dealing with the media to be annoying. When Izuku walked to his room, he discovered only a bed and nothing else, which was all he needed. As Izuku entered the room, Aizawa asked him, hey kid, do you need anything? Yeah, 2 things. A bookshelf to store my books and a tea maker. Izuku nodded, and Aizawa pointed to the kitchen, saying, there is a tea maker in the kitchen. Aizawa then went to the store to acquire Izuku a bookshelf. After finishing, he placed the bookcase in Izuku's room. Izuku walked to his room and placed all of his mystic books on the bookshelf after finishing his tea. Izuku began reading literature and meditating the following morning. After finishing that, Izuku entered the kitchen and noticed Aizawa sipping tea. He waved to Izuku, who gave a nod in reply. Kid, today you're going to start middle school. All right, fine by me. Then Izuku went. When he arrived at school, the teacher instructed him which classes to attend. Izuku went, but he was surrounded by people he didn't want to talk to. People soon realized that Izuku was a recluse who liked to be by himself. The rule that quirks were not allowed on school property didn't concern Izuku, as he would frequently employ his skills, and a blonde boy with red eyes was the one who noticed. He didn't know why, but he detested the new youngster who was demonstrating his telekinesis, flying, and even calling forth a dark hand to perform the majority of his tasks. He was staring at him with venom in his eyes. I'm keeping an eye on you. Katsuki Bakugo, a blonde boy. As time passed, Bakugo became hostile toward Izuku, which typically led to Izuku using his telekinesis to toss Bakugo out the window. They all began using their quirks as the teacher flung the papers into the air and yelled that they all wanted to attend UA. Bakugo leapt on the table and declared that he would be the next big hero and that everyone else would be a D-list sidekick. When Izuku was named, Everyone applauded, stating that Izuku had the best quirks of all of them and that his numerous oddities would undoubtedly get him into UA. Which Bakugo attempted to do by using his quirk to blow up the desk, but Izuku's telekinesis prevented him from doing anything foolish. "Let me go, you demonic freak," was Bakugo's slur, since Izuku once became so enraged with Bakugo that he developed 4 red eyes and black tendrils that nearly killed Bakugo. Fortunately, he managed to stop himself from killing the blonde child, and ever since Bakugo gave him that moniker, he would never repeat it again, even when he believed he was about to die. He attempted to use his blasts, but the tendrils were unaffected. For Izuku, the day was only getting started. After class ended, Izuku was collecting his luggage and heading to his caretaker. He was about to put his magical books in the bag when he heard a voice he recognized as Bakugo, the class jerk, say, "Hey demonic freak." After hearing his voice, he sighed. Bakugo chose to demonstrate his dominance over Izuku, which led to Izuku hurling Bakugo out the window. The blonde was standing close to Izuku with his lackey. Bakugo attempted to touch Izuku, but was stopped by Izuku's abilities. His entire arm was covered in dark energy, so he tried using his other arm, but the same thing happened. "Listen, Bakugo, stay away. Don't try to say your usual you won't get into UA nonsense, because you know that with my powers I can get to UA just as well as you. Telekinesis is not my only powers, so stay the hell away." He refused to give up and raced at Izuku after Izuku threw up, but the green-haired lad blasted him with dark energy before he could do anything. A sludge-like villain emerged and demanded Izuku's body as he teleported out of there and appeared beneath a bridge. Izuku started to walk when he sensed an emotion, and it wasn't good. He stared at the villain disinterestedly and started using his powers to shoot the villain, who was screaming in agony, while Izuku continued to shoot him with dark energy. Then used his dark creations to build a hammer, smashing the villain in the sludge. The villain was terrified of the child's might, but he halted, and the villain took advantage of the situation to launch an attack. However, All Might Tex's smash met him before he could do so. All Might thanked the lad with the green hair, but before he could leap away, he stopped when Izuku stated, "You're hiding something, All Might, and I know what it is." All Might answered uneasily, "I don't know what you were talking about, young man." Izuku warned him not to lie because he was able to feel emotions. Then he and All Might went up to the roof and started talking. "Look, if you want to know how I know about your injury, then we can talk on the roof," Izuku said casually. "Isn't that an invasion of privacy?" All Might deadpanned, "Yes it was, but your thoughts were just overflowing." All Might then assumed his slender form and started questioning the child, asking, "Okay young man, how do you know about the injury?" All Might responded cautiously, "Easy, I read your mind." "All right then young man, you have to keep this secret, you can't tell anyone, promise me." Izuku nodded his head as All Might started to describe how he had been injured 5 years prior. All Might then asked what Izuku's peculiarity was, and he replied that he didn't have one. All Might was taken aback. However, Izuku went on to explain, "All Might do you about cultist. I've heard about them, nothing good about them though. This particular cult wanted to summon a demon from hell, and because my mother wanted a family, one of the cultists told her to meet his friend. Eventually, my mother and father got married and were on the verge of becoming parents, until my father turned out to be a demon and roped me. My mother didn't know what to do with me until this monk told her that she could help, so she accepted and was transported to another dimension called Azereth. I wanted to know who my father was and what I was like, so I called him to meet him, but he killed everyone in Azereth, including my mother, as a result of the people getting rid of their evil in their hearts and helping my mother with me. As a result, I came to Earth and have been there for years." This boy's life story surprised All Might. There was a lot to process regarding alternate dimension, but was aware that this child was telling the truth. Thus, he trusted him and now understands why this child wants his secret to remain a secret. All Might nodded at him and assured the child that he would keep his secret until he was ready. "Okay All Might, I told you my secret, so you have not tell anyone about this until I tell them." As he left, he said, "All right young man, I'll be off." Izuku heard an explosion while he was walking home, halted, and raced in its direction. When he arrived, he discovered the sludge villain holding Bakugo at a point. Izuku let out a groan and sprinted in Bakugo's direction, launching a black blast at the villain while continuing to fire energy blasts at it. As he started to make a pair of scissors, he cut the villain in half and removed the blonde. The crowd cheered as All Might entered and performed a Texas smash, blowing away the villain, Bakugo, and Izuku while also altering the weather. Izuku then proceeded to his caretaker's house, but Bakugo stopped him, claiming that he didn't require his assistance and that despite Izuku's abilities, he was still stronger than him. Stomping off. As All Might appeared and transformed into his slender form, spitting blood, Izuku broke out in a cold sweat at Bakugo's declaration that he would never learn. "Ah, young man, I didn't get your name." "Izuku Midoriya," Izuku said, looking disgusted at All Might's constant blood spouting. "Ah yes, young Midoriya, I have a proposition for you. How would you like to have my quirk?" "Quirk? I thought that quirks could not be passed down." Izuku asked in confusion. "Ah, that's where you would be right, but I was given this power by my master and ever since then I've been looking for a successor." "No thanks, All Might. I appreciate the thought, but no, besides I have powers that I want to use in UA, but I do know of one person that comes to me. There is a boy I met called Mirio that suits the bill. Why don't you ask him about your quirk?" All Might was sad, but then thanked Midoriya for recommending Mirio. After 10 months had gone by and Izuku had somewhat refined his skills, he began to make his way to UA to begin his hero academia. At UA High, he was unsure of his plans for when he arrived on Earth. However, he discussed attending a hero school with Mirio. He wanted to see if he could get into this hero school. Someone bumped into him, interrupting his thoughts. He turned around and glared at the person until he saw a girl with pink cheeks and brown short hair. "Sorry about bumping into you." "No, it's okay. Who are you?" he asked. "Oh, I'm Ochako Uraraka." "Nice to meet you," Izuku replied as Ochako walked away, saying. Izuku walked to the school, and Bakugo said, "Move it, you demonic freak." "Fuck you too, blondie." Izuku sat next to Bakugo and thought, "Great, just my luck I'm next to this explosive fuck." Present Mike was talking about the robots that had 1, 2, and 3 pointers when a boy with blue hair and glasses started to interrupt, saying that UA was better than this and that there were 4 robots instead of 3. The boy turned to Izuku and told him to remove the hood, to which Lita stopped in his tracks. Uraraka was anxious about the test while everyone else was outside. "Izuku, it's me, stay focused," Uraraka said. "You're going to do great in this exam, I know it." Midoriya said with confidence. "Thanks, Midoriya." Uraraka smiled and got ready. The gates opened and Izuku sped past everyone. "Hey, that green kid was cheating." Present Mike spoke. "Everyone get going and follow that green kid's example. There are no countdowns in real life." As everyone quickly rushed towards the gate, Izuku found 3 robots and with his telekinesis, he crushed the 3 robots and then got 50 points. He saw Uraraka as she put her fingers together and said, "Release." As the robots fell down, as Izuku noticed that a robot was behind her and shot a magic blast at the robot, she looked at Izuku and asked her what her quirk was. Uraraka explained that she can make any object lose gravity as long as she touches the object, but she vomits if she overuses her quirk. "Disgusting," Izuku said to Uraraka, making her pout. "You don't have to be mean about it. Just keep doing what you are doing." As he left Uraraka to her devices, and after a few minutes of destroying robots, the ground started shaking as a huge 0-pointer came out, making everyone run away. Izuku was about to walk away until he heard someone in pain. He turned to face Uraraka, whose leg had been caught in the debris, and he started to release his soul self. Similar to Trigon, the participants stared in awe at the enormous dark Davin as the giant raven, half the size of the 0-pointer, crashed into it, used its eyes to shoot lasers, and disintegrated the 0-pointer as soon as it made contact. The teachers and staff reacted similarly to the participants, with the exception of Nezu, who grinned and said, "Interesting," as they gazed at the now disintegrated 0-pointer with jaws dropped on the floor. Knowing what had happened, they now know not to mess with the boy with green hair, because if laser beams can destroy a 0-pointer, it could do much worse to humans. Observing Midoriya with a keen eye, All Might looked at Midoriya and was shocked. He knew that Midoriya had powerful quirks, but he did not anticipate that a giant dark raven half the size of the 0-pointer would emerge. "Midoriya, you surprise me every time I see you," All Might said with wide eyes. Izuku looked at Uraraka and said, "Hey, can you move?" Uraraka's leg was healed after he used his powers to remove the rubble, and she was shocked when he did so. He seemed to have more than one quirk. He had telekinesis, telepathy, and now healing. Recovery Girl came up and checked on everyone while she gave her candy, and she said, "Hey honey, you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine," she said, continuing to stare at Izuku, trying to figure out what his quirk. As Present Mike said, Midoriya left, giving him space to walk. The caretaker was in his sleeping bag as usual when Izuku opened the door to Aizawa's house. He went to his room and meditated, and 2 weeks later, he opened a letter signed UA. When he opened it, a disc revealed All Might wearing a yellow tuxedo. "Ha ha. I'm here as a projection," Izuku said, staring at him blankly. "You passed your writing exam, young Midoriya, with flying colors, reaching 70 points and having top scores." You received an additional 70 points for the practical exam, bringing your total to 140 points, but there's still more. Hey, you know the guy with green hair and freckles on his face also has an emotionless face with him. I was wondering if you can give him some of my points since he saved me from the zero-pointer, Uraraka said, startling Izuku with a clip of him that caused him to raise an eyebrow. Your actions have inspired others and saving that girl has inspired the judges as well, so they have given you another 70 points in total of 210 points, giving you first place. Welcome to your Hero Academia. The disc shut off. Aizawa broke his thoughts when he said, so you got in. Yeah, I got in. Good, because I have something to tell you. You're going to be a teacher at UA, right? Yeah, how did you know? I read your mind. Of course you did. One thing that Aizawa could not stand was that Izuku could read his thoughts a euro. Or anyone's, for that matter euro. And worse, he was powerless to stop him because Izuku's quirks were immune to his eraser quirk. Ah, hello young Midoriya, good to see you. Nice to see you to Toshinori anyway, why you call me here? I want to congratulate you on passing the entrance exam. Thanks. Even though Izuku didn't take All Might's quirk, they still communicated and told All Might how his powers work and that feeling emotions can be dangerous for Izuku, which explained why Izuku was so emotionless all the time. That was the only thing he could do, so he wrapped his scarf around him while activating his quirk, but it had no effect on Izuku. What kind of quirk does someone have in order for someone to make this door big? Izuku asked himself as he was strolling through the UA hallways when he came across Class 1A. Hopefully, I don't run into explosive jackass or glasses, he thought, but then he opened the door. Only to discover glasses or explosive jackass, who scolded the former and left a tick mark on him before Bakugo threatened to kill him. Glasses looked shocked until Alita saw Izuku. I must apologize to you for acting the way I did and judging you, he said, bowing his head, but Izuku cut him off before he could say anything more, claiming to already know his name. Uraraka then arrived. She started to wave her hand frantically in the air and said, oh hey Midoriya, I didn't expect you here and thanks for saving me with that big raven of yours. With the exception of Izuku, everyone was in disbelief at the man in the sleeping bag. If you're here to make friends then you can leave. With everyone looking astonished, Uraraka stammered, who are you? I'm Aizawa, and I'm going to be your homeroom teacher starting today. Now that's over with putting on these gym uniforms and meeting me outside, we are doing a quirk assessment test. As everyone departed the room, Aizawa spoke. As All Might was studying the book, he showed Aizawa, Midoriya should be fine with what he showed in the entrance exam. But don't take this lightly Midoriya, because if you don't take it seriously it could be your last. All Might pondered. After they went outside, they collected Uraraka and asked, Mr. Aizawa, what about orientation? We are not performing orientation, it is useless anyhow, and at UA, tradition does not impede us. The nation continues to act as though we are all equal by preventing the most gifted individuals from achieving their full potential. It's not logical, Midoriya. You scored first on the entrance exam. What was your best throw in high school softball? 4.56 I think. Everyone was shocked, thinking, he's that strong, he must have been using his quirk. They all said, no, I wasn't using my quirk, that's my natural strength. His ability to read minds also left everyone in awe. Yes, now, can you shut up? Izuku replied, you can do anything, just stay in the circle. As he rose and started to use his telekinesis on the ball to toss it into the air, everyone's jaws dropped, and everyone thought, holy crap, while Bakugo simply glared at Izuku with even more hatred. Fun, you said idiot. Today you compete in 8 physical tests to gauge your potential. Whoever comes in last will be expelled immediately. Hey, that's not fair. The teacher turned to face Uraraka. Is it fair for natural disasters or criminals? No, nothing is fair. Aizawa is right, nothing is fair, and there are no happy endings in real life, Izuku added, shocking the students. That's why we, as UA teachers, are preparing you to fight that unfairness, go beyond plus ultra, and all that. Todoroki gazed at Izuku in amazement, wondering whether he understood what it was like to be used by his own father. He would have to speak with him about it later. Do you think it's fair when your father kills your mother or when you're used as a tool for your father's own plans? Grow up already or be left in the dust. Then came the meter dash, where Ida received 3.24, Su received 5.58, Uraraka received 7.15, and the Yuga and Mina received 5.51 seconds. While everyone else went and got their time, Bakugo used burst speed with his explosions and received 4.13, while Izuku flew past the blonde without him realizing it and received 3.91. Bakugo clenched his fist. The boy with the multiple arms received 540 kilograms in the grip test, while Izuku just flew over it in the long jump. As he left, the teacher said, "April Fool's Day was months ago, Aizawa, you expelled an entire class that didn't have potential at all, so did you see young Midoriya?" "Yeah, I saw, and I can see that he will be one of the most powerful student in UA. Izuku did well on the sidestep, and he ran laps around everyone in the endurance run. Bakugo finished 4th, and Bakugo was upset because he was supposed to take first place, but this green freak came out of nowhere and made everyone sigh in relief. The following day was, to put it mildly, an interesting day. It was a typical school day, and Izuku did not enjoy Uhai English because he was multilingual and knew many languages from Japanese, English, German, Chinese, and other languages. Izuku consistently received the highest grades in middle school. At last, it was Aizawa's class, and they were waiting for him to arrive when the door suddenly exploded in the classroom, causing a commotion. All Might said, "I'm coming in the door like a normal person." This caused the class to roar, "Wow! All Might is here, and look, it's his Silver Age costume." The students were thrilled to see their class's top hero, Izuku, who responded by rolling his eyes. "All right, class, today is a special day because you will be learning about Hero 101 is important in UA. You'll learn what it means to be a pro hero here, and today we'll start battle training." Izuku said, "But before you do that, a hero is to have a good-looking costume while doing it." All Might said, "Everyone went to the training grounds and everyone came out of the rooms in their hero costume. They say that the costume makes the hero, and now we have proof." Bakugo grinned eagerly as the class was eager to show off their quirks and be able to become pros. Uraraka saw that Midoriya was missing when the students emerged in their costumes. "Now that's what I call future heroes in cool costumes. Hey, where's Midoriya? He's not here." "Don't worry, I'm here," he said as he emerged, causing everyone to stare at him in astonishment at how basic his hero costume was. Izuku was wearing dark jeans, red sneakers, and a violet hoodie. Izuku greeted Uraraka and said, "Wow, Midoriya, I like your costume. It's not too fancy. You really like the basics, don't you?" Looking at her costume, Momo said, "Yeah, I just went with something that was basic anyways. Nice costume, Uraraka." Uraraka scratched her neck and said, "Hello, Midoriya." Izuku turned to his classmate and paused at her costume, remarking that it was too revealing in his eyes. He said, "Momo, don't be rude, but why does your costume have to be so revealing?" "Oh, it's my quirk, creation," he said. "I can create any non-living object as long as I understand it by its molecular level by using my fat cells to create the object. So you have to expose your skin to use your quirk." "Yes," Izuku replied, embarrassed. "Okay then." As a certain pervert was giving him the thumbs up, Izuku scolded him with his powers, saying, "Disgusting." Looking around in his knight-like hero costume, Iida said, "Sir, this looks like the same place where we took the entrance exam or doing outside battles." In response, All Might said, "Not this time, young Lida. While some fights with villains are outside, most if not all of the fights with villains are indoors, and that is what we are going to do today." Bakugo asked, "How hard can we hit the other opponent?" Yaoyorozu asked, "Will we be threatened with expulsion like last time?" As Izuku rolled his eyes at Yuga, he said, "Does this cape look amazing on me? That makes both of us All Might. Anyway, this is the situation. The villains have hidden a bomb in a hideout, the heroes stop their plans, and have to either capture the villains or recover the bomb. Likewise, the villains have to capture the heroes or wait for the time to run out." Iida asked, "Does this cape look amazing on me?" Time is of the essence, and now for the teams by drawing lots, All Might told Izuku as he read a script. "Sir, isn't there another option?" Iida asked All Might. "Iida, sometimes by becoming a hero you have to work with people you don't care to associate with. That's the life of a hero for you." As All Might selected the following teams: Izuku and Uraraka Team A, Todoroki Team C Mineta, Yaoyorozu Team D Bakugo, Iida Team C Mina, Aoyama Team F Koda, Sato Team G Kaminari, Jiru Team H Tokiyami, Asui Team I Ojiro, and Toru Team J Siro Kirishima. Izuku remarked, "I see your point, Midoriya." Uraraka exclaimed, "Wow, you're on the same team." Izuku replied All Might, saying, "The first team will be Team A and D Bakugo and Lida versus Izuku." And Uraraka the blonde was glaring at the green hair boy while Izuku wasn't even looking at Bakugo. All Might said, "All right, Team A will be the villains and Team D the heroes. Team A, you have act the villain, do and be villains in this exercise." Both teammates nodded and departed, leaving the good guys patiently waiting for 5 minutes. "Hey glasses, I'll deal with the demonic freak. Go after the bomb, got it?" I don't think that is I do whatever I want, just go focus on the bomb, got it? Iida simply nodded at Izuku and Uraraka as they approached the bomb. So this the bomb, what do we do now? It seems you and Bakugo have history. Bakugo was furious. Damn him, ever since that demonic freak showed up, people who always recognized Izuku and cheered him on because of his multiple quirks. Ever since I arrived at school, I have received acclaim for my abilities, and everyone has been telling me how wonderful my peculiarity is and that I will one day be a great hero. Naturally, I didn't care if I was number one, I would be the future number one hero. But over time, I believe Bakugo became envious because I was receiving attention and he was not, and he began to hate me and try to bully me. I would always throw him out the window. You what? Uraraka nodded at him, but let's concentrate on the mission. Izuku would want me to come out and face him, so you stay here and protect the bomb, and I'll go and deal with Bakugo and Lita. If Lita gets past me, you have to stop him, right? Uraraka asked worriedly. Yeah, I'm okay. As Izuku started to leave, his eyes turned glowing red, and he developed 2 more eyes on his forehead, which were also red, and his skin turned white, looking more like his father Trigon. One aspect of Izuku's demonic appearance that no one was aware of was that it was his more demonic half, not himself, that was in control. Izuku's nature became more malevolent due to this new shape. If left unchecked, his darker side may take over, murder everyone, turn into a villain, and resemble his father Trigon. It was Demon Izuku's chance to have some fun now that Izuku was out of the scene. He stepped forward and swiftly avoided the explosion. The spectators were appalled at what Izuku was doing. They could hear the screams, and All Might was about to tell Midoriya to stop until he saw the child release them both. Hello, you demonic freakio, but before he finished, Demon Izuku's hands glowed red instead of the usual dark that he was used to, and he threw him to the wall and started to use his other hand to hold Iida off and squeeze them until he let go. They had a good look at Midoriya and were surprised to see that he had changed from looking human to almost like a demon from hell. His skin and eyes were both red, and he had white hair and another pair of eyes on his forehead. In summary, whoever Izuku was now, he was not himself, and something told the audience to be wary of this new Midoriya, which gave them nightmares. Returning to Izuku, Bakugo got up and glared at Midoriya with hate in his eyes, saying, "So you decided to show that form? No matter how many forms you have, you won't match me, you demonic freak." Demon Izuku then started laughing darkly at him, saying, "Oh Bakugo, I'm going to have fun once I rip your insides out of your body." Bakugo knew this was not Izuku by any means. He seemed like an evil version of Izuku. The blonde blasted himself towards Izuku and exploded his face, and Bakugo smirked evilly. He defeated Izuku, but the smokescreen disappeared, leaving the explosive blonde in shock. What the hell are you? Demon Izuku's arms transformed into tendrils, and Bakugo used his explosions on them, but it continued to come, latching onto him and throwing him across the building and breaking the wall. Izuku went to Tenya Iida, but she was gone and telepathically conversing with Uraraka, asking, "Hey gravity bitch, do you copy?" Uraraka responded angrily to the voice in her head, "Hey, that's not very nice, who are you anyway?" Demon Izuku was dealing with Bakugo, who used his explosions to dodge Izuku's energy blast and exploded up, getting over the green boy's head, hitting his back, to which Izuku pushed away with his powers hitting the wall. "Look, I don't have time for this. Iida is coming at you. Be ready to stop him." "Wait, what?" "Look, just do as I say or I will strip the flesh from your fucking body, got that?" Demon Izuku yelled at Uraraka, who nodded her head in fear at this person killing her. "Hey you freak, since my explosions didn't affect you, let's see if this will work." He pointed his gauntlet at Midoriya. "My quirk is that the more sweat I have, the bigger the explosions get, and once I can store all this sweat into these gauntlet here, it can cause huge explosions." As Bakugo pulled the pin and a massive explosion erupted throughout the room, All Might exclaimed, "Young Bakugo, don't do it. You'll kill him." Bakugo said, "It won't kill him if he dodges." Izuku used his telekinesis to spread the explosions before they could reach him, and his hands were glowing crimson. Bakugo's eyes were wide open in disbelief, and he thought, my attack didn't hit him. The entire 1A class reacted to Bakugo in a similar way, with their mouths dropping to the ground and their eyes wide open. The entire class, including All Might, thought, holy crap, Midoriya just dispersed Bakugo's attack like it was nothing. As Bakugo created an energy staff, he blasted at Izuku, hitting him with it before shooting dark energy beams at his chest. Bakugo then got back up and proceeded forward, grabbing Izuku's face and using his quirk to explode it, pushing him away as Izuku turned invisible and phased through the wall. Then attempted to grab Bakugo, but he jumped back a little and exploded the wall behind him, preventing him from grabbing him. "Is that all you got, you demonic freak?" Izuku asked as he emerged from the wall, his eyes glowing white, and struck Bakugo in the face, knocking him back a few times. Bakugo attempted to explode his face, but Izuku dodged as the explosive boy entered for another explosion, and Izuku struck Bakugo with a dark fist from his dark constructs. Bakugo got back on his feet, but was immobilized by chains that Izuku made for him. Bakugo was screaming and yelling at Izuku to let him go. With the capture tape in hand, Demon Izuku approached Bakugo and, fed up with his yelling, punched him, knocking him unconscious, and placed it on his arm. Young Bakugo had been eliminated, All Might said, leaving him stunned. Bakugo motionless, Demon Izuku flew upward and phased through the wall to reach Iida. He noticed Iida attempting to reach the bomb once he was on the floor where it was. He stops Iida in his tracks and wraps his capture tape around Iida, while Uraraka does her utmost to ward him off. All Might declared, "Villain team wins." Bakugo muttered, terrified and realizing that, "He predicted to me, that demonic freak predicted me, he made me look like an idiot in front of everyone and he won this fight." All Might comforted him by saying, "Young Bakugo, don't let this get to you. Take this as motivation to improve yourself next time." As Midoriya collapsed to the ground from exhaustion of using his demonic form, his skin and eyes returned to normal. Uraraka, concerned about her friend, said, "I hope Midoriya is okay." Each team performed well in their match, and after it was over, everyone returned to class. "All right class, who could tell me who was the VIP?" Yaoyorozu got to his feet. "I'll do it, sir. Midoriya is probably the VIP. He was the one who did the least amount of damage to the building, but Bakugo, who harbored resentment for Midoriya, damaged the structure and had the potential to destroy it with his explosions." Izuku woke up in Recovery Girl's room and said, "Oh hello Sunny, welcome back to We're exhausted when you won your match." "Thanks, but where's Bakugo?" "He left as soon as he woke up. I tried to tell him to rest but he wouldn't listen, so he went on his way." Izuku nodded his head and we returned to class. Kirishima said, "Hey Midoriya, you were awesome in your battle." "Thanks, I guess so. Did you happen to see what I was doing?" Yeah, that's very good." Class dismissed," Izuku said, leaving the class shocked. Izuku shook his head, saying, "Well, you were different. Your skin was red, had 4 red eyes, and your hair turned white." Asui's explanation left Midoriya stunned, and he thought, "No, it can't be him." "You okay, Midoriya?" Izuku remarked as he walked away. "Yeah, I'm fine, I have something to do." Everybody asked Midoriya, "Hello, do you know about All Might?" "Hey, do you know about what All Might is doing at UA? Hey, aren't you the kid who fought off that sludge villain a few days ago?" When Izuku arrived at UA the following morning and saw a horde of reporters with cameras asking about a specific person. But Izuku was growing tired of the questions and the cameras that were always aimed at him, so he yelled in a demon voice, "Shut up!" The reporters all yelled in shock, stopped, and retreated in terror at this student's piqued interest, so they asked another student, and it was Bakugo. One reporter asked him, "Hey, aren't you the kid that was attacked by the sludge villain?" He told the reporter to shut up. With a raised eyebrow and a sigh, "Damn it, Midoriya." Aizawa entered the school and said, "Go away, you are trespassing on school grounds, and you will not be asking any further questions to my students." The front door shut instantly, preventing the reporters from entering the building. In class, Aizawa, a man with blue hair, was observing the UA building from a distance. "Well done on your fighting training yesterday." "Yeah," Bakugo said sourly. "Midoriya, you were interesting. Your little form got my attention, whatever that form was. You need to control it or make sure it never happens again. Other than that, you did good. I saw the video and results yesterday, Bakugo. You're talented, so stop acting like a child who didn't get what he wanted." While reading Shakespeare, Izuku nodded. "Okay, so now you will be. Is it another test?" Everyone thought. "You're going to pick class representative." Finally, a normal event. All of a sudden, everyone began to raise their hands, saying, "I want to be class representative." Kaminari said, "No, me." Mina said, "I want it as well." Jiru asked, "As if you reject, I'll be in charge." Izuku rolled his eyes. Everyone stopped when Iida yelled, "Silence please. If we are going to do this, we have to do it like we mean to help others, not because we want to help ourselves, and therefore is a task that we have to trust others in, and for that must have a diplomatic election and decide to choose one, and I volunteer." Iida concluded, telling everyone, "Really, you just picked yourself to do it." "But how do we decide to trust people? We've only been here for 2 days, Asui replied. "Yeah, what if someone just picked themselves as the representatives?" Kirishima responded. Don't you think it's wise that we have multiple votes to see who is trustworthy? That won't work, Iida. Even if we have multiple votes, what's to say people won't lie on paper and pick themselves anyway? And besides, people can say that they want to help the class, but what if they have an ulterior motivation to want to be picked to lead the class and cause more harm than good? Izuku replied while continuing to read. Everyone deadpanned the statement. Well, aren't you all sunshine and rainbows? Using his telepathic powers, everyone yelled at Izuku, stop that. But what do you think, Aizawa? Izuku said, I'm just a realist. Aizawa added, I don't care what you, but do it before the bell rings. Aizawa then went back to sleep. As the voting began, Izuku said, typical Aizawa. Following that, Izuku and Momo received a total of 5 votes. Izuku became agitated by Bakugo's yelling and made duct tape and taped his mouth shut, making Momo look surprised. Wait, does Midoriya also have a creation quirk as well? She thought. Bakugo became enraged and yelled, come on, who voted for this green freak? He yelled out, what did you think it was going to be you? Zero said, what you say? All right, Midoriya will be deputy representative with Yaoyorozu, said Aizawa, waking up. All right, with Midoriya he can lead us to victory with his multiple quirks, and Yaoyorozu was great with the battle results, Kaminari said as lunchtime arrived. Izuku appeared to be unhappy about being here, while Momo appeared content with her role. Wow, look, everyone is here. Uraraka exclaimed. Everyone is here from support course, hero course and management course are in the same place. Iida replied, I didn't want to be a deputy representative of the class. Izuku was reading from a book. It's going to be alright, Midoriya, with your power and skill and intelligence make you worth fight for ever since yesterday in battle training, that's why I picked you. I have suspicions about you, Uraraka. Momo arrived and asked, hey guys, is this seat taken? Uraraka replied, no, you can sit here if you want. So Midoriya, may I ask you something? Do you have a creation quirk as well? Momo asked inquisitively. But not from you, Iida. I thought you were going to pick Yaoyorozu because she did great judging everyone's battle yesterday, color me, and Iida was surprised. Momo said, similar but not the same. I can create anything with my construct powers, from chains to tape. Pretty much I can do anything you can do, but without the whole knowledge on what I'm creating. She was intrigued by Izuku's ability to accomplish what she could, but she was more envious of his dark construct powers because they didn't require knowledge of the materials the objects were made of and didn't wear her out. She also continued to discuss other topics, such as Iida's bother tensai. Izuku looked around and said, there's been a level 3 breach, means someone is trespassing on school grounds. The upperclassmen were pushing each other away as the alarm went off, and everyone was running around in panic. What was going on? Uraraka said, someone must have breached the school. Using his telekinesis, Izuku stopped everyone in their tracks as he flew up to the doors. Everyone looked up to see Izuku with white eyes. Look at you, you're all supposed to be future heroes and you're acting like a bunch of kids running out, acting like you got no common sense. If this is what counts as future heroes, then you all have to be expelled for this behavior. You guys are a waste of heroes who shouldn't be on this school. In the beginning the only thing outside is reporters. Now sit the fuck down before I show how scary I can be. Really be now, get out of her and in line. If anyone cuts the line I will break every bone on your body. Izuku shouted at everyone who was frightened and back to the dining hall. Everyone was seated in their seats back in the classroom. You did good, Midoriya, taking care of the problem before it got out of hand, but next time don't use threats. Next time you made everyone scared of you. Aizawa responded. I'm not looking to make friends here, Aizawa. Izuku replied as he read his book. As Izuku and everyone else were boarding the bus, Iida said to Midoriya, well, Midoriya, I hope you handled everything in a nice way. Iida, even if I did manage to get everything in a nice way, no one would listen, so sit where you want until we get there. Izuku answered him, and as everyone sat in their seats, they began to discuss. So out of everyone here, who is the strongest? Kaminari said. Probably Midoriya, followed by Todoroki and then Bakugo. Kirishima responded, as everyone agreed. Asui stated, hey Midoriya, I've been wondering what your quirk is, because it seems like you have multiple quirks. He was interrupted by Asui, who said, call me Sue. She said to Midoriya, yes, Sue. I do have multiple quirks. I have telekinesis, telepathy, emotion manipulation, healing powers, I can phase through objects and magic, and I'm pretty sure I have other powers to unlock as well. Everyone's jaws dropped to the ground, and their eyes widened. Holy crap, he overpower. As the students dispersed, Aizawa said, okay, everyone was here. As Uraraka I love 13, they met the space hero 13 there. She mentioned that Mina agreed with her when she asked, hey 13, Where's All Might? Aizawa responded. Well, he ran out of time during his hero work and had to take a break. Aizawa sighed. Of course he did. Izuku said, rolling his eyes. Great timing, All Might. What if villains show today? As Izuku looked at his hands, she said, all right, Class 1A, as you know I'm the Space Hero 13 and today you are at the Unforeseen Simulation Joint, or USJ for short, and as you know my quirk is black hole and can suck up anything and turn it into dust, but it can also kill as well. 13 explains, but since we live in a superhuman society quirks are now regulated and clarified so it won't seem like a problem at first, but remember any quirk can kill as easily. Oh, but you will my hellspawn. Izuku closed his eyes and entered his thoughts, where he saw his father shackled in chains around his arms, legs, and neck. He stared at his father, Trigon, whose voice he knew all too well. He wanted to communicate, but Izuku questioned, what do you want, father? He had assumed he could finally get rid of him, but he was mistaken. Simple, let me out or I'll kill everyone you love in that pathetic building you call a school. Trigon replied, no, you're not getting out here, you are staying here where you belong. Izuku replied, we will see about that my hellspawn, just you wait, once I get out of here I'll torture your friends one by one and you're going to watch as I do it. Izuku replied, oh, and there will be a surprise waiting for you when you wake up, good luck with that. But before he could reply, someone interrupted him, saying, Midoriya, you okay? Yaoyorozu remarked, worried. You will not do no such thing, while I'm still here. Then Yaoyorozu nodded and said, yeah, just fine, a little headache, that's all. Then a little black portal appeared, and Izuku saw this. Aizawa, we have a problem, we have an unwanted guest. Those aren't fake, they are real villains, Aizawa said, leaving the class stunned. More villains then emerged, including a man with blue hair, hands all over his body, and a man who looked like a bird with his brain exposed. However, one villain caught Izuku's attention. He had 4 red eyes, red skin, and white hair, and he smirked evilly and asked, why would they attack a school? Yaoyorozu stated, they came here for All Might, the death of the symbol of peace. Izuku said, what? The class was shocked and startled when Kaminari said, you can contact anyone outside the USJ. Izuku told him, damn it, no good, can't get any signal. He replied, that means that there's somebody whose quirk can jam the communications from outside as well. The attack was planned in advance, they weren't dumb. Todoroki shocked the students by saying, that was their plan all along, to get our schedules, and knew we would be here since the USJ is an isolated place perfect for them to attack. Izuku said, 13 evacuate the students to safety, I'll deal with the villains. You can't stop me, I'm helping whether you like it or not. I'm coming as well. No, Midoriya, you're staying here with the other students. Fine, but don't die. All right, Aizawa groaned, realizing he couldn't stop Izuku. As they both headed to the villains, Bakugo and Kirishima fight the portal villain, who says, hello students of UA High, we are the League of Villains. I was told All Might would be here, but it seems he is late, I have a job to do. But missed him. That was close. I'll have to scatter your ashes. The portal villain said, teleporting everyone away as Izuku used his telekinesis powers to create his dark constructs and even displayed some magic. Azarth Metreon Zinthos shot magic at the thugs, saying, Iida, you have to go get help. He objected, saying, but Midoriya, I can't leave you all here. We will die here if you don't now run and go get help now, Iida. He nodded, and the portal demon approached the blue-haired demon Tamura Shigaraki, telling him that 13 had dealt with a student who had escaped, and that Tamura had scratched his neck. He pointed to the demon and said, Kurogiri, if you weren't our escape plan I would tear you to ash. Shigaraki shone in answer, realizing that the demon was correct when he said, you deal with your brother. Don't order me around, you pathetic mortal, remember your decay quirk does not work on me. The devil raced at breakneck speed in the direction of Izuku. Then, with such force, he punched Izuku, sending him hurtling in the direction of a ship where Asui and Mineta were. That's your brother Midoriya. Asui yelled, we're about to find out, as Izuku struck the deck and said, Midoriya, you alright? Izuku looked up and saw the demon smirking at him and saying, hello brother. The demon looked at Izuku and mocked them, saying, well, look at what we got here, a frog and coward wanting to be heroes. How pathetic, brother, why do you stay with these mortals? The green-haired boy made a portal that led to the USJ, saying, Sue, take Mineta and find Aizawa and get out of here. But Izuku was interrupted by Midoriya, who said, I'm not asking you, Sue. I'm telling you, get out of here. Asui nodded and instructed Mineta to follow her, saying, hey Midoriya, defeat your brother. Izuku nodded his head and turned to face his brother, saying, let's go, brother. Izuku gave the demon a fierce look. When Izuku threw magic at the demon, he deflected it and threw furs at Izuku, saying, "Fire manipulation." The demon nodded at his brother. Azereth Metreon Zinthos. He protected himself by erecting a barrier. He smote the demon with his telekinesis. Izuku phased through the energy bolts that the demon threw after emerging from it. He struck the demon, causing it to howl in agony before firing a black blast at it. "Did you really think that would hurt me, brother? You'll have to try a lot harder than that to defeat me," Midoriya said, startled, as the demon began to chuckle at him. As the devil killed his brother with fire, he used his powers to hold the Nomu in place and throw him into Shigaraki. But Kurogiri saved him, and Shigaraki glared at Izuku, saying, "Nomu, kill him." The demon teleported behind Izuku, grabbed his arm, and threw him where the Nomu was about to kill Aizawa, threatening to kill his teacher. However, Izuku used telekinesis to halt him, at which point the demon entered and fired at him, causing him to loosen his hold on the Nomu. Izuku gritted his teeth and said, "Oh brother, you can't fight the Nomu and me at the same time. Come on, brother, you know the only way to defeat us is to give in to your rage and accept your demonic heritage." "No, never. If I do that, I be no better than you." Izuku refused to use his demonic side because it would be just like the demon. But his brother was right. Shigaraki chuckled at the green fool as Izuku pounded him with a dark fist and threw him out of the path, saying, "Fool, don't you get it? The Nomu is regeneration and shock absorption." But Izuku grinned and said, "I have a curse spell that takes away regeneration types." As he recited the chant, the Nomu experienced a change in appearance, turning blue for a brief moment before returning to normal. Izuku then launched a magic blast at the Nomu, inflicting pain on the creature. When Shigaraki saw that the Nomu was not recovering from the attack, he yelled, "What did you do?" Izuku said, startling Shigaraki and Kurogiri, "Simply you claimed that your Nomu had super regeneration, so I used a spell that cancelled out your creature regeneration." The Nomu then attempted to strike Izuku. However, he moved too quickly for Nomu to catch him, so he continued to blast energy after energy at the Nomu, causing him to scream in agony and overloading the shock absorption. Finally, he used his telekinesis to toss the Nomu out of the USJ, forcing everyone to stare at the broken window that Nomu had broken. Shigaraki gave Izuku a furious glance. As she went toward the green-haired boy, Shigaraki said, "You cheat, you absolute cheater." When All Might and the other professionals arrived and made their presence known, they were met with gunfire. Izuku searched for his sibling, but discovered that he had left. As Shigaraki spoke in agony, the pro-hero sniped. He cheated. That green-haired boy cheated. Caused his leg to be shot, teleporting him inside a bar. A strange man remarked, "Sensei, he wasn't even there. All Might didn't even show up at all." The TV flashed. "Otamura Shigaraki, how did it go?" The man asked, "What do you mean he wasn't there?" The man behind the TV asked, "This green brat, did you get a name?" Shigaraki said to his sensei, "He didn't even show up. It was the green brat and his multiple quirks and magic spells that defeated our ultimate weapon." "No, I didn't, sensei." "Don't worry, Tamura. We will find out this boy's name in due time." "What are you doing here, Midoriya? Don't you have class to attend to?" As the recovery girl asked the green-haired boy, "Yeah, but I came to stop by and see if I can help Aizawa heal his injuries." Izuku told the recovery girl, "While I appreciate the thought, only I can heal him, and besides it's not like you have a healing quirk. Just let me try." Izuku nodded his head as he approached Aizawa, and his hands began to glow blue and started to heal Aizawa's injuries perfectly. His decayed arm was now back to normal, and the recovery girl sighed, "Fine, but only because you wouldn't leave me alone even if I said no, would you?" Following Izuku's departure, recovery girl and Aizawa were shocked to hear that he could do this the whole time. With this kid I wouldn't even have to heal anybody with him around. A few days later, in Class 1A, everyone was discussing the USJ, man that was tense in the USJ. Kirishima responded, "Right," and then Midoriya came in and defeated the Nomu like it was nothing. "And did you see how he used a spell on the Nomu to stop that thing regeneration?" Kaminari added, "I know it seems like Midoriya was the only one who was capable of fighting that thing head on. But didn't that hands guy say that the creature was supposed to kill All Might?" Zero said, "But still we survived a villain attack and it was on the news, but not all of us got on. Hell, Midoriya didn't want to be on the news despite the cameras and people asking him questions. I guess he really hates the news." Ojiro said, "Everyone sit down and quiet, class is about to start." Iida exclaimed to the class, "Dude, you're the only one talking." Kaminari said, "And we're all ready in our seats." Zero asked Iida, I wonder who would be our substitute teacher since Aizawa's not going to be here. As the door opened and Aizawa entered, Asui said, Mr. Aizawa. The class was shocked to see that he was not covered in bandages from head to toe, but they said, but I thought you were supposed to be in the hospital. Asui said, my well-being is not important right now, besides I was healed thanks to Midoriya's healing quirk. As everyone turned to face him, they said, stop staring at me, it's annoying. Fight! Bakugo exclaimed enthusiastically. More importantly, the fight isn't over yet. The class responded, the UA Sports Festival is coming. That's awesome, the sports festival is here. Wait, isn't it a bit soon? We just had a villain attack yesterday. Jiro expressed concern as the class exchanged her statement. Apparently the school thinks that by having this event it's going to show everyone that we won't let a villain attack stop us, and don't worry, the security in the festival will be 10 times as strong and that every pro hero will be there to ensure nothing is going to attack at the festival. The pupils breathed a sigh of relief. But won't the villains learn what we can do at this event, Aizawa? Izuku stated that the group was concerned. If that's what you are worried about, Midoriya, you can just quit or not participate at all during the event. As Aizawa noted, alright then, that's what I'll do, drop out of the festival. Besides, I got reading and meditating to catch up on. Causing all of them to collapse. You can't just drop out of the festival, you demonic freak, you have to join so I can kick your ass. Bakugo replied to Midoriya, yeah Midoriya, you can't give up now when we just started. Uraraka replied, right, besides I want to see what's better, my creation quirk or your dark construct's power. Yaoyorozu said, begging to be included. Izuku sighed, okay, I'll join the stupid festival. Besides, you have to join Midoriya, otherwise I'd expel you, Aizawa said, grinning, which caused Izuku to roll his eyes. Alright, class dismissed. As the class went to lunch, and everyone was eating when Iida asked, Midoriya, are you really not interested in competing in the sports festival? Not really, Iida, I don't care in participating in a sports festival. Come on, Midoriya bro, this is your chance to show the world what you can do, show off your manliness, and get into a hero agency. Kirishima. I was compelled to attend this sporting event, and in addition, I like to read and meditate instead of participating in any activities. Reading is fun to you, was deadpanned by everyone. That's how I define fun. With a robotic chop, Iida said, well, it's good to get excited about the sports festival. Well, that's a weird way to get excited about a sports festival, it kind of creeps me out. Asui told Iida, Midoriya, Iida, let's do our best. Uraraka said, her face dark. Iida responded, Uraraka, you okay? Uraraka said, still wearing a gloomy expression, I'm fine, there's nothing to worry about. The class asked, so, Uraraka, why did you want to be a hero? Well, it might not seem as heroic as you guys, but it's money, she said, embarrassed. Izuku and Iida responded, my family owns a construction company and we have not gotten any money, so I want the money to support my family so they don't have to worry money anymore. Fine, if that's what you want then I hope you achieve your dream, Midoriya said. As he walked away, Uraraka asked, Iida, what do you think All Might wanted Midoriya for? Maybe he wanted to talk to Midoriya about what happened at the USJ. Hello, young Midoriya is here. He pointed to Izuku, who gave him a strange look. All Might, is there something you need? Yes, do you want to have lunch with me? Alright, sure, I'll see you later guys. Iida speculated to Uraraka Todoroki, listening to the entire conversation, interesting Midoriya and All Might. As Izuku and All Might entered the teacher's lounge, Mirio Tagata sat down and said, hey Midoriya, it's been a while. Nice to see you, so tell me about All Might. Mirio waved his hands at Midoriya. You must have brought me here for more than lunch. Yes, I'm here to discuss the history of One for All. As you can see, back when quirks were still uncommon, a villain known as All for One had the ability to steal quirks and then offer them to others. He took use of this to amass a large following of followers. Unaware that his brother already had a quirk that he could pass on to others, he gave his younger brother a quirk. In doing so, the quirk he received from All for One and the younger brother's quirk combined to form a new quirk called One for All. The younger brother, who disliked All's use of his newfound ability, attempted to stop him but ultimately failed, so Yoichi gave One for All to the upcoming generation of heroes in the hopes that a hero would one day beat his brother. After that was completed, that's great and all, but what do that have to do with me? How am I supposed to help? Young Midoriya, I came to you because I want your help to train Mirio if I have to face All for One and fail to defeat him in battle. Okay, All Might, I promise to train Mirio if you fail your mission. Thank you, Midoriya, I knew I could count on you, and also there's another reason I came to talk with you, knowing that you don't have quirk, Midoriya. Since you're technically quirkless, you can use all your powers that you have in the festival. Yeah, I came to talk about that. After I stayed with Aizawa, we went to the quirk doctor and found out that I'm quirkless. Midoriya shocked Mirio by saying, wait, you're quirkless? Midoriya nodded his head, but what about all the powers you have? Demonic Father, that's where I get my powers. Mirio looked at All Might for confirmation, and All Might nodded his head, yes, shocking Mirio. He didn't think that demons and angels existed in the real world. If they did, they were just myths from books. Okay, now that we got that over, can I go now? Yes, you can leave, see you later, Midoriya. As he walked out of the room to read or meditate. After returning home, Midoriya started to meditate. Izuku glared at his father, saying, no, you are not leaving here, you are not escaping this gem ever, you're staying here for all eternity, father. So that's the surprise, sending demons to do your dirty work, father. Trigon grinned evilly at his son, saying, yes, and that's only the beginning of your torment, my hellspawn. Like I said, release me or your friends suffer because of you. Fine, then the suffering continues until you do, and I will have fun watching your friends die at my hand. Izuku went to sleep after saying, we have nothing to speak about, goodbye. Then, he had a strange vision in which he was in an alleyway and a guy with a sword-like weapon, a red scarf, a bandana around his head, and bandages around his arms and shoes was fighting a pro-hero who was wearing the same outfit Iida wore for his hero costume. The villain licked blood from his sword and paralyzed the hero, and Izuku attempted to intervene, but the hero was taken to the hospital. As the image disappeared, I wanted to discuss this with Aizawa before I went to bed. Was that Iida's brother? He looked too tall to be Iida, so that must be his brother Tensai Iida. The following day Izuku finished his meditation and went to grab a cup of tea when Aizawa stopped by. Hey Midoriya, how are you? Fine. I had this weird vision yesterday. What type of vision was it? I think it was a vision from the future. Anyway, I saw this villain in a combat attire and he was fighting a hero. The hero lost. What was interesting is that this villain started licking the blood off his sword and then paralyzed the hero, who was sent to the hospital. Izuku explains as Aizawa's eyes pop open and he demands, did you get a name? No, but the hero wore a costume similar to Iida's. That would be Iida's brother Tensai, also known as Ingenium. I'll have a pro-hero look into the hero killer. Thanks Midoriya. Oh Midoriya, looks like you have precognition, Izuku said, nodding. And Midoriya, you better get to school, the sports festival is today. Uraraka asked, glancing around her, what's going on? They're scouting out the competition, small fry, we survived the villain attack, so they want to see what we're made of before the festival. Bakugo responded, move it, you rejects. You can't call people you don't know as rejects. Iida reprimanded Bakugo, saying, but so this is class 1A, you know there were students who wanted the hero course but couldn't get one and were sent to general studies instead. Bakugo was informed by the student. He wasn't concerned, but they gave us a chance, and if we win the festival we are transferred into the hero course and vice versa for the hero course students. Be careful, because we declare a declaration of war. With that attitude of yours we could sweep you under your feet, causing Uraraka and Iida to be concerned. You want war? Fine, here's mine, get out of the way before I make you. Izuku said, frightening Uraraka and Iida even more because he was a typical 1A snob, thinking you better than the rest of us. The student said, fuck this, I don't have time for this. Izuku started controlling everyone's emotions except class 1A, saying, get out of our way. Everyone in class 1B in general studies followed his instructions and moved out of 1A's way, shocking 1A, but then left with him, leaving only Iida and Uraraka horrified at what Midoriya did. He essentially mind-controlled everyone who wasn't in class 1A and made them move and were afraid of their green-hair friend. While everyone was training, Todoroki was using his ice quirk, Bakugo his explosives, Kirishima his hardening, and everyone else their quirk. Midoriya, did you really have to do that? Iida said. Iida, they were in the way, I don't have time for their declaration of war. I wish we could wear our costumes in the waiting room. It's to keep everything fair. Shiro asked Mina, I wonder what the first round is. Tokiyami said, and Todoroki went to Izuku, saying, Midoriya, you are the most powerful person in the school, but know this, I will defeat you. Kirishima said, wow, Todoroki, come on now, can't we be friends? As Midoriya stated in class, I'm not here to make friends. Todoroki sned. Aizawa looked bored and said, I can't believe I have to do this with you. Present Mike said, "Hello everyone. Welcome to the UA Annual Sports Festival, everyone. My name is Present Mike, but here with me today is the one and only Eraserhead. Oh cheer up, Eraserhead, this is going to be exciting. Now the students are going to compete in 3 events, and first is the obstacle race. Without further ado we have the R-rated hero Midnight. Hi everyone, this is Midnight. The kids will now take part in 3 challenges, the first of which is the obstacle course. But first, I'm going to call Izuku Midoriya, a class representative from Class 1A. Midoriya appeared taken aback, but he nevertheless went ahead and started talking. Hello everyone, I would much rather not be here than give speeches and all that. However, let's make this brief and straightforward. At this event, we are not here to become famous or wealthy. However, we are here to demonstrate to the world who we are and what we have, to show this generation of heroes that we are the heroes of the future and that we possess the skills necessary to leave our own legacy a hero, not by emulating All Might. However, by surpassing the top hero himself, and demonstrating that we possess the skills necessary to become the next great hero is the method to do this. To demonstrate that we are more than a replica of All Might is more important to me than ranking first or anything else. That we have the potential to be the world's next greatest hero, but in the universe as well, and demonstrate to them that we are here to stay. As he stepped off the stage, Izuku was greeted by applause from the crowd. Well, let the festival begin. As everyone prepares for the obstacle course, Izuku transforms into his soul self into his avatar, a dark giant raven made of dark energy. As everyone looks at him, get set go. Izuku flies over everyone and starts to fly over the course, saying, well, would you look at that, it seems Izuku has transformed into what looks like a giant dark raven. Izuku has always been a realist who hated the fame and fortune that came with being a hero, and he wanted to prove that the students at UA can create their own legacy. Once everyone is ready, on your mark. As everyone stared in shock, the giant raven's eyes were glowing and shooting lasers as the energy turned the zero-pointer to ashes. Holy crap, talk about powerful I-beams. At this point nobody is going to catch up to Midoriya. Aizawa watched Bakugo and Todoroki compete for second place while he saw the I-beams turn the zero-pointer to ash. The giant raven flew past, and Present Mike remarked, well, Midoriya is passing by the fall with no problem. Izuku was flying over the fall in his dark raven form. Izuku eventually saw the land mines that were placed on the ground. But since he was in his raven form he just flew past them. And saw the finish line. So he got to the ground and transformed back into his human form and crossed the finish line. There we have it folks, the winner of the obstacle course is none other than Izuku Midoriya, as everyone cheered for him. As Izuku waited for the others pulling out his book. In second place was Todoroki and in third was Bakugo. Well, I won, I guess maybe I shouldn't have turned into my giant raven form. Well then everyone, that's it for the obstacle course, now get ready because now we getting into the next course. Midnight said to the audience as Momo came by, hey Izuku, can you help me out? As Yaoyorozu turned and Mineta was stuck to her back using his quirk, Izuku eyes glowed white, scaring him off of her. Thanks Midoriya for that. As Izuku nodded at his classmate. The obstacle course was over with Izuku in first followed by Todoroki then Bakugo. The first game is over, now look at the results for the first years. Midoriya was in first, second place Todoroki and third place was Bakugo. Now the second game is the cavalry battle. Let me describe how it operates. Teams of 4 are formed by the participants, and the conflict is identical to a typical cavalry battle. Uraraka said Midnight stated the team points, and when she got Midoriya, she said, first place is worth 10 million points. Everyone was staring at Izuku with a hateful smirk. But the difference is that based on the score that first place got in the first game now has the point value. So it's like the entrance exam. Izuku replied, yeah, and each team is worth different points depending on who they end up with. The rider wears a headband with the number on their forehead, and each team receives points dependent on whatever team they end up with after the allotted 15 minutes have passed. Until the allotted time is up, each team will attempt to seize the headband of the opposing team in an attempt to score additional points. If another team loses the stolen points, or if your team loses, you are still in the game. The stolen points must be close to the neck. As everyone started to form teams, Midoriya went to Iida and said, of course, this is a game, so attacks on another player are not allowed and will get your team disqualified. Damn it. Bakugo then said, make your teams. Iida wanted to join, but Midoriya said, sorry Midoriya, but I won't be joining you. I realized that if I want to become a better hero, I have to win this match and defeat you. Uraraka said, Hey Midoriya, you want to join with me? Izuku nodded. We need to find another team member because he looked around and saw Tokiyami. Perfect. Midoriya thought, hello first place winner. A pink-haired person said, who are you? Mei Hatsume at your service. I want to join the person in first place. Izuku wanted to say no, but he needed one more person. Uraraka ready. Uraraka nodded. Tokiyami, your quirks works in darkness, right? Tokiyami nodded. Alright, I have a spell that can make the sky dark, but the sun is still up. Can you keep Dark Shadow in control for 2 minutes? Everyone went to Izuku as he started to cast a magic that caused the sky to turn dark, surprising everyone in the stadium with the words, I think so. On your mark, get set go. It's Midoriya, it has to be. Aizawa noted that although he grew larger and stronger as the Dark Shadow emerged, he remained under control because the sun was still shining. Hey you demonic freak, get me your headband. As Bakugo came blasting by, his Dark Shadow stoked him and suddenly the ground felt moist. Hey, we can't get out, Uraraka said. May do something. Izuku ordered. I can't, my baby's not working. Izuku sighed, so he cast a spell that turned the moist back into solid ground as Izuku's team raced off to avoid other teams but also grabbed other team's headband in the process. Then something was stuck on Uraraka's feet. Izuku saw it was a purple ball, then realized who it belonged to. Mineta on Shoji's team. I'm surprised Shoji allowed Mineta on the team. As a tongue came out, Asui came into view. Okay Asui, I get, but Mineta really? Asked Izuku. Midoriya, get us out. Shouting Tokiyami as the rocket on May burst and the team began to fly. Get back here, you demonic freak. Shouting Bakugo as he flew to his target. But before he could get his points, a purple barrier was put up thanks to Izuku. Bakugo tried to blast it, but no matter how much power his explosions had, it did no effect. As Izuku smirked once they made it to the ground only to be met with ice. Todoroki, as Izuku met Todoroki's eyes and glared at each other. Bakugo was dealing with Monoma. Kirishima, before we deal with the demonic freak, let's drop these rejects. Bakugo returned to his points, and Todoroki said, Iida, use your speed to get to Midoriya. Momo, create something that will protect us from electricity. Momo nodded, and Kaminari shouted, indiscriminate shock 1.3 million. However, Izuku once again used his soul self to turn his team into a single giant raven. The bolts struck another team, and Izuku's team turned back into humans. Well, never done that before, Tokiyami said, and everyone agreed. As the ice came for them, Dark Shadow punched the ice without any problems, but he was struck by electricity, which made him weaker. Damn it, Dark Shadow must be affected by Kaminari's lighting, Izuku said, as a huge ice wall formed a circle and circled them. Uraraka said to the green-haired boy, we are going to hold our ground. As Iida started to use his new move, Reciproburst, Todoroki's team sped towards Izuku's. Izuku used an illusion spell to change the 70-point headband to 10 million, and the 10 million headband to 70. Look again, Aizawa said, as Todoroki looked confused as he looked down and saw that the 10 million had been turned to 70. The audience then turned to Izuku, who smirked, as his team ran towards him. Izuku's hands glowed purple, and he raised up his left hand and activated his fire quirk, shocking him. My left side, Bakugo said, you demonic freak, where's the 10 million? As time slowed down. That's the end of the cavalry battle, everyone. Bakugo yelled angrily as his team started to perspire. Hey Bakugo, you okay? Shut up, shitty hair, I'm fine. As he continued to get mad at the demonic freak none as Izuku Midoriya, Todoroki clenched his left hand and made him use his fire side, something he had vowed never to do. Now let's see the results. It displays Midoriya first, followed by Todoroki and Bakugo in third. You did great, Midoriya. He nodded at Uraraka before leaving, saying, we almost would have gotten first place, sorry for letting you down. While Iida was bowing, Yaoyorozu cheered him up by saying, don't worry about it, Iida. We didn't know that Midoriya was going to use an illusion quirk on us. Bakugo shouted, fourth place is Team Shin, but couldn't find him anywhere, while Ojiro glared at Shinso and Todoroki glared at his left hand before leaving in a rage. Uraraka was complimenting Iida, saying, hey Iida, good job with the cavalry battle. Looking down in embarrassment, Iida muttered, thanks, Uraraka, but Midoriya beat me fair and square. I didn't even see him use an illusion quirk on our team. If I had noticed, we would have got the 10 million pointer. Uraraka smiled and encouraged Iida a little. Todoroki and Midoriya, meanwhile, exchanged glances and said, I was overwhelmed. Izuku got confused and said, I promised myself that I would never use his quirk, but I did, and it was because of you. As you know, my father is Endeavor and he's been the number 2 hero since he went there. Have you heard quirked marriages? Following the emergence of quirks in society, selecting a partner to bolster one's own quirk led to people forcing themselves to marry in order to pass it on to the offspring, which caused issues for the second and third generations. Izuku was upset because his childhood sounded like his. Todoroki, you have a similar childhood to me. Izuku looked perplexed and asked, what do you mean? Here, let me show you. So he won my mother's parents' approval and created me so that one day I could surpass All Might. I won't be using that bastard's power. As Izuku started to show him some of his memories, Midoriya used his abilities. Todoroki found himself in a cathedral with a cloaked person and others who looked like him. Based on what he saw, they were performing a demonic ritual that he had heard about but had never believed to be genuine. When the cloaked people completed the summon, 4 red eyes a euro, the same red eyes he saw Izuku have when he battled Bakugo in the training battle a euro, came out, and he watched as they bowed down to this being, who called himself Trigon. Trigon demanded a woman to mate with in order to have a child that would help him conquer the universe. The cultist found a mate, and now he looked at a woman named Inko, who finally met Trigon, who changed into a human. He was slowly falling in love with him, and he was right when he revealed that he was a demon the entire time. Inko tried to scream, but Trigon interrupted her by kissing her, and then he roped his own mate Todoroki. Todoroki wanted to stop the demon from raping her, but he was powerless and had to watch in horror as he continued to rope her despite her repeated attempts to stop him, but he never did and went on. After a while, Inko became pregnant and was approached by a monk who made a portal. When Inko entered the portal, Todoroki realized that this was not Earth and was confirmed to be right when the cloaked figure said they were in an alternate dimension. 9 months later, Izuku was born and called his father. Todoroki was shocked and wide-eyed when he saw Trigon, who was as large as Mount Lady. Midoriya, you and I have the same childhood. We both have fathers that want to turn us into something we are not. My father using me as a tool against All Might and yours to turn you evil and take over the universe, Trigon said, thinking as he left Midoriya after using his power to destroy Azeroth and Inko. With the memories now complete, he looked at Midoriya in shock because his father is even more horrible than Endeavor could ever be. I will make you embrace your fire side, Todoroki. I won't let you turn into another me, refusing to use my demonic side because my father treated me like a tool as well. When Izuku left for Uraraka, alright everyone, it's time for the third and final game. For those who didn't get into the finals can participate in the recreational games. When the finalists return to the stage. Oh, and what's this? We have cheerleaders as Jiro, Yaoyorozu and the other girls are in the cheerleading outfit. As the Jiro tossed down her pom-pom, Izuku was upset because Mineta was engaged in this and, knowing that perverted freak, he forced the girls to be cheerleaders. Mineta Kaminari, you lied to us, he made me create these outfits. As Izuku approached the two perverts, he frightened Mineta and Kaminari by threatening them. The words, Mineta, Kaminari, you better leave now or I will roast your flesh until there is nothing but bone, were spoken as Mineta and Kaminari shouted and fled from Midoriya, his hands glowing purple and his eyes glowing white. Izuku nodded at her, and Yaoyorozu remarked, thanks, Midoriya. Ladies, get dressed, you are done with these cheerleading outfits. Before leaving, Midoriya remarked, oh, and Yaoyorozu, nice job with the outfits. Mina taunted, oh, is this romance I'm sensing? As Yaoyorozu flushed profusely. Izuku raised an eyebrow as Midnight announced the first match. Okay, first matches, excuse me, I'm withdrawing from the finals. Everyone was shocked. I think it's this guy's quirk, I can't participate knowing that I didn't do anything at all and that I was brainwashed. Izuku pointed to Shinso and said, oh, you're going to get a taste of your own medicine. As everyone perspired, the first match was set to start, revealing the names of the opponents: Ayuro, Tetsutsu vs. Kurashima Ayuro, and they all sighed in disappointment at being paired together. Okay, I accept Ojiro and Soda withdrawal, and that's something I like to see. Youthful talk. Since their quirks were so similar, Ashido vs. Aoyama was, this is going to be easy. Mina thought, too bad I have to knock you out before showing you my twinkle. The next matchup was Midoriya vs. Shinso, and Midoriya thought, Shinso, no doubt he's going to go after me. Audience, welcome to the finals and are starting. Our first fighter is a person who got the most attention: Ayuro, Izuku Midoriya. And the general studies student Hitoshi Shinso. The rules are simple, get your opponent out of the ring or get them to give up. If things go too far, I'll stop the match. Cementos said, ready start. Present Mike asked, so you, how does it feel to have multiple quirks? What are you talking about? Shinso grinned, but he kept his face to himself because his opponent was not brainwashed by his quirk. Confused, Izuku used his telekinesis to throw Shinso out of the ring and said, the winner of this match is Izuku Midoriya. Shinso fled before Izuku could say anything that stopped him. Hey Shinso, you think that your brainwashing quirk is not good because people think of it as villainous, but they are wrong. Your brainwashing quirk is not a bad quirk with your quirk. It's overpowered. You can stop a villain attack before it can even begin, showing people that you can be the greatest hero. Shinso grinned as he left, saying, thanks Midoriya. He was glad someone at last had faith in him. Zero vs. Todoroki. Todoroki abruptly ended the battle by freezing both Zero and the upper half of the stadium, shocking the spectators and making them say, sorry, I was angry. He used his 1.3 indiscriminate shock against Ibara, but Ibara eliminated him with her hair. Mei vs. Iida. Mei deceived Iida, who was upset with his victory. Mina and Yuga waiting for Yuga to experience a stomachache allowed Mina to win. He easily defeated Tokiyami and Momo, shattering Yaoyorozu's confidence. As Izuku went to deal with Momo, she started crying and said, shit, I better go talk to Momo. Hey Momo, you okay? No, I thought that if I won the match with Tokiyami, I would prove that I could be just as strong as everyone else. Look, I know, but not everyone can win, and sometimes we lose battles, and the heroes don't always win because that isn't realistic. But if we don't lose, we can never grow as a person. So are you going to pick yourself back up or wallow in your own misery? You get back up Momo because you are the smartest person. I know Momo, and you can get over this and learn from your mistake because I believe in you. She said with a heavy grin, thank you Midoriya, you how to cheer me up. As Yaoyorozu gave him a smile, he gave her a nod and walked away. Kirishima and Tetsutsu knocked each other out, tying the match. Uraraka was fatigued after Bakugo defeated him. As he walked to wait for his match, Midoriya was met by Endeavor, who said, oh there you are. Izuku resisted the urge to open a portal and let Hell deal with the number 2 hero, saying, you were quite impressive having multiple quirks. Bakugo stared at Izuku, tell round face she did good, she's not as weak as people think. Izuku glared at him and said, listen, Endeavor, he might be your son, but he's not you and never will be. Looking at Endeavor, Izuku became even more enraged and left. Midoriya and Todoroki stared at each other and began. As Todoroki produced ice, Izuku blasted the ice with his dark energy, and Todoroki continued to launch massive ice towards the green-haired boy. Izuku blasted the energy at the ice, teleported in front of Todoroki, and punched him, sending him flying backwards. Why the hold back? Use your fire, Izuku said as he produced ice. As he continued to launch ice, Izuku noticed that Todoroki was trembling and said, he's freezing. You're freezing Todoroki, which is why you ended the fight so quickly to avoid freezing. If you used your fire side it could help you. Now you made me mad. Todoroki continued to use ice, but Izuku's dark energy blasted him. Look at everyone in Class A, Kirishima, Uraraka, Iida and everyone else is giving it their all, and you are holding back. If you keep this up you'll never be a hero, and your left side has always been yours. Remember why you're here, to be a hero. Uraraka said, this is. Present Mike said, he's using it. Todoroki's eyes were open as the fire ate into his left body. The fire side melted off the ice. Endeavor screamed, Shoto, but before he could say anything more, Midoriya transferred him out of the location and into hell. You are a moron Midoriya, but you were wrong about one thing Midoriya, you're not fighting me at 100%, are you? Show me your full power Midoriya, show me why you're standing there. Use your full power. Are you here to be hero, or are you not using your full power because of your father? It's your power, not your father's. A blinding light engulfed Izuku, causing everyone to cover their eyes. Midoriya thought, that bastard, he's using my own words against me. Alright fine, might as well test this new form out. Izuku was not wearing his Ua gym attire when everyone turned to face him. Izuku discovered this form while preparing for the sports festival, but his hero suit was white, including his jeans and shoes, in place of his typical purple hoodie. This form represented his release from his evil father, but he was unable to master it in the allotted 2 weeks. His powers were greatly increased by this new white form of his, and Midoriya thought, let's see what this new form can do. Cementos used his quirk to stop the attacks. They both spoke the words, thank you Midoriya, thank you Todoroki. simultaneously as Todoroki lifted his palm and ejected a fiery flame from his left side. The TWA attacks combined and created tremendous wind pressure everywhere as Midoriya's hands glowed white and blasted a massive blast of black energy toward Todoroki. The explosion was so large that it demolished the concrete walls, flung debris everywhere, and rocked the stadium. As they gazed at the stadium, everyone covered their eyes and exclaimed, "Holy crap." They knew that Todoroki and Midoriya were strong, but this was crazy. "I can't see anything, Midnight, you got something. What's wrong with your class, Aizawa?" Aizawa shrugged. Both Midoriya and Todoroki attacks collided with one another, made the air expand and explode. The dust swiftly dissipated, leaving Izuku as the winner. The winner is Izuku Midoriya. His form started to wane and he returned to his UA gym uniform. Izuku went to Todoroki and started to put his hands where the scar was, and his hands glowed blue. The scar started to heal quickly, but Izuku started to experience mental pain and visions of what Endeavor had done to Todoroki. He was done, and Todoroki's facial scar had healed. "I feel like I'm forgetting something." "Oh, that's right," he said as he opened a portal and dragged Endeavor out, realizing that the scar had disappeared from his face. He appeared worn out from fighting demons as he faced the green-haired boy. With an angry expression on his face, Endeavor turned to face Izuku as the green-haired youngster left. Izuku waited in the waiting area till Bakugo entered and said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" Izuku looked at him deadpan, saying, "Wait, this isn't room 2. You demon freak, you better use that white form you used against Icy Hot. I'm going to be better than you have it, and I want to show people that I can beat you." Bakugo walked out of the room. As everyone greeted him, Kirishima replied, "Thanks, Kirishima. Hey Midoriya, you did great in the match with Todoroki." When Todoroki arrived, everyone was staring at him in shock and asking, "Guys, is everything alright?" He asked the class, "Hey Todoroki, did you do something to your face?" Kaminari asked him, "What are you talking about?" And Mina said, "You should look in the mirror." The white and red-haired boy looked confused once more as Izuku made a mirror for him to use. As he stared at his face in shock, he placed his to the spot where the scar used to be, and discovered that the scar that had been there since he was a child had disappeared. He recalled something Aizawa had said to the class, "Besides, I was healed thanks to Midoriya's healing quirk." Aizawa also highlighted Midoriya's healing quirk. The scar on his face made him wonder, "Who did this? I never thought this scar would go away. It couldn't be Recovery Girl, then who?" He kept staring into the mirror and said, "He healed my scar, Midoriya. He did this, but why would he do this?" Todoroki sat back in his seat, still struggling to comprehend what had occurred to his face, and Kirishima remarked to him, "You okay?" He replied, "Yeah." Izuku understood what it was like to be in Todoroki's position because he had already gone through what Todoroki had gone through with his own father. "Nobody should suffer like we have suffered, Todoroki." As the combat between Iida and Ibara was ready to begin, Iida utilized his Recipro Burst to force the Vine Hair user out of the ring. The next opponent for Tokiyami was Mina Ashido. Although Mina attempted to hurt Dark Shadow with her acid quirk, it was unsuccessful, and Dark Shadow eventually forced Mina out of the ring, guaranteeing his victory. The bicolored boy chuckled as he said, "Hey Midoriya." He turned around and said, "Thanks for everything that you did for me. Without you I would have never used my fireside, and to also thank you for healing the scar that was on my face as well. I thought that the scar would always stay on my face as a reminder of what my father did to me." Todoroki held out his hand, and Midoriya shook his hands. "You're not alone, Todoroki. You're not the only one dealing with a father that's trying to use you. I have daddy issues as well." Izuku departed in order to defeat Iida in combat. Iida was coping with his brother in the meantime, and he was glad that Tensai, his brother, was not hurt or hospitalized as a result of the battle with the hero killer Stain, but continued to seek retribution for his brother Tensai's treatment by the hero murderer. The battle between Bakugo and Kirishima started out with Bakugo's attacks not working. He's keeping himself hardened, but he can't keep this hardening forever. Once he's weak he's going to die by my hands, Bakugo thought evilly as he left the ring to wait for Izuku to win his match against Iida. Midoriya and Iida were next. "Alright, I'm up against Midoriya. If he uses his telekinesis on me, I'm done for unless I can go fast enough so that he has less time before he can use his telekinesis," Iida thought, and began. Present Mike shouted as Iida used his Reciproburst as he sped towards Izuku, but he covered Iida's leg in dark energy as he flicked his hands to the side. The blue-haired boy dodged and kicked Midoriya, sending him flying, but before he could escape the ring, he stopped himself using telekinesis. He continued to blast Iida with energy beams as he dodged, but the green-haired boy stopped him with telekinesis and then blasted him, sending him back. Iida managed to put his foot on the ground and was in the ring, so Midoriya's hands glowed purple and sent an energy beam at Iida. "Why isn't Midoriya using his telekinesis to throw me out?" Iida said, hitting the ground while still in the ring. "Because Iida, it'd be too easy." Iida heard Midoriya in his mind. Iida admonished Izuku, saying, "Take this seriously fine," as he started to utilize his telekinesis and tossed him out of the ring. "Midoriya, you have to take this seriously. In addition, I want to make this last longer. The winner of this match is Izuku Midoriya." Iida stood up as the boy exited the ring and said, "You did good, Midoriya." Todoroki was watching the fight with his classmates when Kaminari asked, "Todoroki, who do you think is going to win?" "Bakugo's talented, there's no denial there, but Midoriya is on another level from telekinesis to magic, and we don't know the weaknesses of Midoriya, and I was watching Midoriya in the fights that he was in and there was no weakness that I could capture. If there is a weakness, then Bakugo can exploit it." As both students entered the ring, everyone nodded. "All right, then we have Bakugo, who is hot-tempered and has an explosive quirk, and then we have a student who has an expressionless face. His name is Izuku Midoriya." Everyone cheered for Midoriya, who said, "Ready, begin." The blonde blasted to Izuku, exploded the green boy's face, and continued to increase in size and power until Midoriya used his telekinesis to put some distance between Bakugo and Izuku, created a dark fist, and punched the explosive boy with it. But didn't get out of the ring as Bakugo grabbed Midoriya's hair and threw him away hoping to eliminate him, but the green-haired boy stopped mid-flight as the explosive blonde burst at him and tried to explode Izuku's face. Bakugo waited. He knew that trying to explode Izuku's face was not going to get the green boy out of the ring as a dark beam shoot out of the smoke and hit Bakugo sending him flying, but used his explosions to propel himself inside the ring. "What's wrong, you demonic freak? Aren't you going to show me the same form that you used against Icy Hot? You think I'm not worthy of it, is that it, huh?" Bakugo said to Midoriya, created a dark SYCTHE and tried to hit Bakugo with, but he dodged with his explosions and tried to blast his face. But Izuku twisted his body to meet Bakugo's explosions and swiped the explosions away while firing an energy blast at Bakugo sending him away. But Bakugo used his explosions to get back in the ring and created explosions that caused a smokescreen as perfect. The demonic freak can't see in the smoke as he was behind Midoriya. But one thing about Izuku was that he didn't need his eyes to see anything because he could sense emotions from people and phased through the explosions. Surprised Bakugo as Izuku turned around and said, "You thought that I couldn't see your little trick? I don't need my eyes to see you, Bakugo." As Bakugo clicked his tongue as a black hand picked the blonde up and threw him only for to fail as Bakugo rocked to Izuku. Meanwhile in the stands, "What's he talking about, Todoroki? Remember the white form that Midoriya transformed into when I fought him?" Uraraka asked the dual quirk user, and they nodded. "That's what Bakugo was talking about once. He wanted to be treated with the same respect as me, and by Midoriya going all out it shows that Bakugo is worthy of his power," Todoroki informed everyone. "Midoriya probably doesn't have full control in that form or can't stay in that white form for very long. I heard him say that he wanted to test the white form of his, confirming that Midoriya's new white form is a new thing to him." Izuku tried to chain Bakugo up with chains, but Bakugo destroyed the structures with his blasts. Now, will Midoriya use it? That's a whole other story. As Izuku closed his eyes, a light shone over him and grew, making everyone close theirs as well. "Damn it, Bakugo wants me to use that form, that Todoroki and I fought in, but I don't have any control over the new form of mine, but let's see, time to go plus ultra." Now that Izuku was back in his white hero uniform, Bakugo smiled and started spinning with his explosions in preparation for his ultimate move. Izuku used his soul to transform into a giant white raven and howitzer impact, but before he was grabbed by the raven and consumed, Bakugo used his explosives and tried to blow up the wings that were wrapped around him, but it didn't work. With everyone's eyes wide, Midnight said to Midoriya, "No, he's not dead, he's just in the bird. He's fine, I'll get him out." Bakugo opened his eyes and looked around, but all he saw was a white void. "What is this place, you demonic freak?" Bakugo asked, looking around, seeing nothing but white. Bakugo tried to fight back, but was unable to do so because Izuku was absorbing his emotions. Bakugo felt lightheaded and said, "No, not like this, it can't end like this," as he passed out in the white void and the giant raven vanished into nothing as Bakugo and Midoriya emerged. This is another dimension that is outside of the real world where time works differently. In this dimension 2 minutes in here is 2 seconds in the real world. Now enough talk, let's go, Izuku replied. Unconscious, the explosive blonde fell to the ground. The winner is Izuku Midoriya. And we have a winner of this year's sports festival as Izuku Midoriya. Present microphone. As everyone applauded the youngster with the green hair. As Izuku Midoriya moved out from the stadium, the entire crowd was cheering him on. The cheers went wild as Midnight said, now all the first-year events have been completed, now we are starting the UA Awards ceremony. Smoke rose from behind her, and the finalists, pedestals appeared, with Bakugo in second place, Izuku in first, and Tokiyami in third. But because of Izuku's constructs, he was bound from head to toe and mouth with purple chains. You're like a wild animal. Ignoring the irate growl coming from the blonde's chained mouth, Tokiyami spoke. Third place was meant to go to Iida, but Tokiyami took his position. Izuku planned to locate Iida, but assumed he was still on campus. All Might jumped out of the sky as the crowd roared for the top hero, and the words, now the medals for the presentation will be of course, were delivered. All Might sighed in exasperation and added, I have brought the medals here. Midnight scratched her head, embarrassed that she had interrupted All Might. He headed near. Ha ha ha, young Tokiyami, you have shown great strength in this festival today, keep it up. But in order to face many obstacles you must not always rely on your quirk. Thank you All Might, I'll take that into consideration, Tokiyami replied. Izuku said. All Might just put the medal around his neck. Bakugo was chained up when the number 1 hero approached him. This might be much anyway. Young Bakugo, even though you have not risen to the top, you did good here, take this medal, he said, about to take off the chain around his mouth. As he placed the first place medal around his neck, he said, young Midoriya, you never surprise me with all the amazing things you can do with the abilities you have, and now I reward you with this medal. Tokiyami, Bakugo, and Izuku left the stage. As the fire and ice user grabbed the medal, Izuku said, hey Todoroki here. Todoroki looked at Midoriya's medal, shrugged, and kept it without wearing it because he did not win the tournament that Midoriya had won. But you won, Midoriya, this is yours, Todoroki said. Not anymore, it's yours now, besides I'm not one for medals. The students returned to class after everything was finished, and Aizawa said, good work class, the heroes will recognize this and pick the students who are going to be joining, alright, come back tomorrow and see what opportunities you get. They cheered and went home after a full night's sleep. The following day, Izuku was reading a book at the train station, and he said, excuse me, as he glared at the person who pulled him out of the reading. What? He said ominously. Izuku simply nodded and tried to resume reading after hearing the words, I just wanted to congratulate you on winning the sports festival. Hey, are you Izuku Midoriya? The green-haired boy asked, looking at the person who had called him. You did a fantastic job at the festival with all the quirks you have, he said. As everyone continued to congratulate Izuku on his victory, he became irritated with those who were preventing him from reading, so he made some soundproof headphones and put them on, blocking out everyone else while he read. Hey Raven, what's up? A student asked him. Izuku was perplexed and said, Raven. The student remarked, yeah Raven, that's what we saw in the sports festival, and left for his classroom. After raising an eyebrow, Izuku shrugged and went to class. He sat down as soon as he arrived in class. Morning class, as you know, since you competed in the sports festival, you have offers and the results are as follows, Aizawa said as he entered the room and a screen with the names shown. Izuku -7167, Todoroki 6799, Bakugo 5299, Tokoyami 450, Iida 399, Kaminari 245, Yaoyorozu 100, Kirishima 78, Uraraka 27, 015 inches. Damn, Midoriya got the most votes out of everyone, Kirishima said, but look, Todoroki isn't far behind. Asui said, that's probably because of my father. Aizawa spoke up, causing everyone to silence. Today we are going to do something special, everyone yelled in excitement. Shut up, Izuku said in his demonic voice. As Izuku nodded and took out his book, everyone fell silent. Thank you, Midoriya, Aizawa said to him. Now that the students' hero names are known to society, they get finalized as permanent hero names. Now you are going to pick out your hero names. Note that these hero names are not permanent, but I'm not the one who's going to be approving your name. I am going to say whether your names are okay, Midnight said as he opened the classroom door. Aizawa intervened. Like All Might or Present Mic are examples. Also when you pick a hero name, they get recognized by the public and shows what your future is going to be. Like they say names and nurture often agree, 10 minutes afterwards. Hiroshima said nervously, now I don't feel like going up. Zero said, okay, now we're presenting your names now. Yuga went up and revealed his hero name, the shining hero I can't stop twinkling. That's a whole sentence, the class exclaimed. Good but way too long, remove the I and replace the cannot to can't. Midnight said, offering advice to Aoyama's hero name. Mina then approached the alien queen and gave her hero name, but was turned down because of Midnight. Jiro chose Earphone Jack, Tentacle from Shoji, Hiroshima chose Red Riot, and Sue chose Frozen, who was welcomed by Midnight. Zero chose Cellphone, Ojiro chose Tailman, Sato chose Sugarman, Mina chose the more amiable name Pinky, Kaminari chose Chargbolt, Toru chose Invisible Girl, Yaoyorozu chose Kriti, and Todoroki chose his real name Shoto. Your name, is that what you want? Asked Midnight, bewildered, and Todoroki replied, yeah. Bakugo went with King Explosion Murder, which was turned down, Kota went with Anima, and Tokiyami went with Tsukuyomi. Uraraka accompanied Uravati, saying, all right, now all that's left is Bakugo, who needs to change his name Iida and Midoriya. The R-rated hero then recalled his brother, who, despite the help of professional heroes, is still performing hero work and seeks retribution against the hero killer. Izuku saw his feelings and remarked, damn it, Iida looks like I'm going to watch Iida with a bird's eye view. Izuku pondered, just like Todoroki, was Iida's initial reaction when he presented his hero name, Tenya Midnight, but he later gave his approval. Izuku asked himself, what should my hero name be? Until he recalled that the student had called him a raven because that's what the audience had seen during the festival. Izuku introduced himself as the mysterious hero Raven, and displayed his hero name. After everyone had finished, Midnight remarked, great name Midoriya. Bakugo's hero name was turned down. The class went to their acceptance letters. Midoriya went through his papers of pro heroes, and one that surprised him was Endeavor. He tore it up and didn't want anything to do with the number 2 hero. Alright class, now we will talk about your internships. Your internships will last a week. Those who got offers from pros, you will choose who you are going to intern with the pro heroes who accepted you. For those who didn't get any internship, will be accepting our internship. Midoriya looked up at his teacher. There's one person that came to Japan a day ago. He watched your fight in the sports festival. His name's John Constantine. He's from London and the number 3 hero over there. How he get here so fast, Mr. Aizawa? Izuku asked. You're not the only one who can use magic. Izuku said, surprised. Wait, what you know about magic? Aizawa nodded. While I still find it hard to believe that magic exists in this world, it can't be denied that it does have its uses. Besides, if there's one thing about magic, it's that it's got multiple uses for any situation. Anyway, he created a portal to Japan and has a hero agency here in Japan just in case he needed it. You should go see him, Aizawa said, walking away. Izuku examining the card he is holding. In London, Izuku was gazing at his internship with the number 3 hero. After giving Momo a pep talk about persevering after you lose won't make you completely normal, Izuku went to check on her. Why would John Constantine want to be with him? He would have to find this out when he meets Constantine. Just take a look at Bakugo to see how it undermines someone's pride. Bakugo will put in extra effort to defeat Izuku after Izuku wins his fight with him twice. Hey, you okay? He asked Yaoyorozu, who nodded and showed him the internships she had obtained. Really? Momo Uebami, that's who wants to teach you. Izuku raised an eyebrow and asked, why, what's wrong with her? Momo said, perplexed, look at her, do you really think that she is going to teach you a damn thing? The only thing Uebami is going to teach you is how to be a fashion statement. Do you want to be a hero or a beauty queen? As Momo gazed down at her internship and glanced back with a dejected expression, Izuku said to his companion, I want to be a hero. Izuku nodded his head and said, okay, let me talk to Aizawa. He then returned, and she asked, what did you talk about with Aizawa? She said, basically I told him if it was okay if you could go with me to join me in my internship with Constantine. Momo's eyes widened, and she said, wait, Constantine as in John Constantine, the number 3 hero from London? Izuku nodded, well, what'd he say? She exclaimed with excitement, he said yes. She had read about John Constantine's use of magic and how, 6 years ago, supernatural spirits attacked people in London. Momo was different. She thought that if quirks were real, then why not supernatural beings or people who used them? It's not that different from Quirk's magic, which could be considered quirks in a way, people just don't believe in magic. However, the pro-heroes from London were there to protect the people of London, and it was talked about all over the world. As Izuku left to meet with Constantine, Momo followed him. Look, I'm going to meet with Constantine, he's here in Japan and has a hero agency in Japan just in case he needed, Izuku told Momo. The secretary greeted Izuku and Momo as they entered what appeared to be an office building. Oh hi, are you both here to meet Constantine? She asked, and they nodded their heads in agreement. Mr. Constantine, some visitors are here to see you. The door buzzed, okay, got right ahead, and they entered his office. A man with blonde hair and blue eyes, wearing a tan trench coat and a tie, was standing there, looking at his guests and saying, "Ah, Izuku Midoriya, welcome." "Hello, Mr. Constantine, just John is fine, no need for the formalities, who is your friend here?" "This is Momo Yaoyorozu." As Constantine shook her hands. "So why have you come here?" Izuku said, "Ah, I never would have thought I was teaching the son of Trigon." Constantine said, as Izuku's eyes widened, "You know my father." "Know him, I've had deals with him, and so far he hasn't captured my soul." Momo was perplexed, saying, "Wait, deals, souls, you're not talking about deals with devils, are you?" Constantine nodded his head, and Momo's eyes widened. "Don't worry, Momo, we're demon researchers and our job is to study demons. In any case, search for your internship, where you will gain knowledge about curse magic. Yaoyorozu here is going to demonstrate to me what her is." As Izuku learned about curse magic, as Constantine told him about curse magic, that it's like magic, but it causes a curse in someone, and Constantine told Izuku to do the spell on him. Testing it on Constantine as the first curse magic was to de-aging them to non-existent them or speed them up to old age. First Izuku used the de-aging spell as he chanted, and the spell finished de-aging Constantine into a baby. Izuku did the spell and Constantine grew up again as he did the speed-up spell that made him grow into an old man. As Yaoyorozu told Constantine about her quirk and that he said to improve her quirk so that she didn't get tired as easily, as so Momo created as many objects as she can until she used all her fat cells. "John, are we going to Hosu? I think one of my classmates are in danger. You are going to meet. Well, go check up on your friend." As Izuku created a portal that leads straight to Hosu and walked through it, as Nomu appeared out of nowhere and started attacking people, as the Nomu went to attack Izuku, but was stopped by his telekinesis, and he squeezed the Nomu so hard that it exploded into a million pieces. As Izuku flew into the air in his dark raven form and flew, he spotted Iida and chanted. Meanwhile Stain was about to kill Iida. "Now die, fake hero." Azeroth Metrian Zinthos. Midoriya landed on top of a paralyzed Iida and asked, "Midoriya, what are you doing here?" "Saving your ass, Iida." The green-haired boy shot another dark energy at him as Stain rushed at him, but before he could slice him, Izuku put up a shield to protect himself and Iida, and used his telekinesis to throw him to the wall. Iida continued to throw him until the Stain tried to break free, but was unsuccessful. At that point, Midoriya shot him with an energy blast, knocking him backwards, and Izuku used magic. Izuku used his telepathic abilities to call Todoroki. "Todoroki, are you there? Me and Iida are fighting a villain named the Hero Killer Stain. Come and help us out." "Okay, I'm coming, just hold on." Todoroki turned around and ran. "Shoto, what are you doing?" Endeavor said, "My friend are in need of my help, just go on without me." "Midoriya, just hold on a little longer." Izuku was firing another dark energy blast at the Hero Killer, but he ducked his sword, which was about to slice Izuku, and was covered in black energy as he threw the blade away. "You are interesting, why did you come here?" asked the Hero Killer. "To save my classmate from you, what else, that's the job of Hero Idiot." Stain grinned. "You are a true hero unlike your friend here." As the Hero Killer tried to cut Izuku until a fireball made them both stop, showing Todoroki, Izuku used that to his advantage and shot an energy blast hitting the villain. "Midoriya, you need to work on telling people what street the alleyway's in." "Todoroki, glad you came, and it seems you're using your fire side." As Todoroki shot another fire blast at Stain but dodged, "Todoroki, I'll use my telekinesis then freeze him in place." As the dual user nodded, Izuku used telekinesis to stop the Hero Killer from coming closer, as Todoroki launched ice at him, freezing him in place. Iida looked upon the two. "Midoriya, Todoroki, you should not be here, this is my fight, not yours." "Iida, wake up, this isn't you, I know you, you're not the type to seek vengeance." Iida. Midoriya responds to Iida, Midoriya, right, is this what you want to become, a murderer? Because that's what you're going to be if you fall down this path, so get up and be a hero that will make your brother proud. As Todoroki uses his fireside to blast the hero killer, as it hits Stain, sending him back. As Iida can now feel his body move as he started to get up, Midoriya and Todoroki are right. If I kill the hero killer, not only would I be no better than him, but disappointed my brother. I have to make this right, not by killing Stain but by bringing him to justice. Izuku hitting him with more beams as Todoroki tries freeze Stain, but before he could dodge, Izuku stopped him with telekinesis as the ice froze Stain. Midoriya, Iida, use your speed to kick him and I'll blast him with energy to take him down, as Iida uses Reciproburst in Izuku. When Izuku turned to Iida, he said, we need to talk. Constantine, meanwhile, was not in Hosu assisting the pro heroes. Instead, he was somewhere else, walking down an alleyway when he heard running. He turned around and someone bumped into him. It was a young girl with white hair, a horn on her forehead, and bandages on her arms and legs. Azeroth Metrian Zinthos. Before he could ask this question, a man wearing white gloves and a beak emerged. Hey little one, what are you doing out here? Constantine added, please help me get me away from the nasty man. The man said, I'm sorry for the interruption, but my daughter is being hard-headed. Please, if you don't mind handing her over to me, that'd be appropriate. The young girl was tightly hugging Constantine. Constantine sensed the evil emanating from this man and refused to give the girl to him. He read this man's mind and named him Overhaul. He had previously dealt with similar evils like demons, so this was nothing new to him. Constantine taught Izuku curse magic, but the one magic he hadn't taught him yet was the ability to use a curse spell that could trap people in a time loop where they would relive a moment in time over and over again for eternity. However, as time passed, the time loop would grow darker, punishing those inside. Let me do something first. He started reciting the spell, and the man's eyes widened and fell to the ground, his eyes turning slightly white. Back at his master's old house, Overhaul went to see Eri for the first time and was perplexed. He went to Eri's room, but instead of Eri, a demon was running toward him, attempting to kill him, but Overhaul touched the demon and killed it. He smirked, but the demon Riga copyright not copyright rated and ran his hand through Overhaul's chest before he could kill it again. He thought he was dead when he woke up, but when he opened his eyes, he saw the demon, and he tried to kill it, but the demon killed him. This would continue forever, and the little girl didn't understand why the man was on the ground, so she said, come on, little one, let's go meet a friend of mine. He's in school, and you're going to like him. Eri started to ask, why did you help me? She said, because you're like me, kid, a person who suffered through pain and lose. Now come, we're going to meet Izuku, and trust me, you'll be glad you meet him. The hero killer was knocked out by Izuku, Todoroki, and Iida when a flying Nomu approached the green boy and said, Midoriya, watch out. Before he could react, the Nomu grabbed Midoriya, who blasted the flying creature before landing on the ground as Endeavor, Gran Torino, and Constantine arrived from their jobs. Stain stood up, and the pro-heroes were in a fighting stance, preparing for a battle. I will rid the world of false heroes and demonstrate to the world what it means to be a true hero, a Euro, the only real hero who truly cares about people, a Euro, because this hero society is full of so-called heroes who are fake with fake ideas and are only in it for the money and fame. As the aura surrounding the hero killer paralyzed everyone in fear, the injuries he sustained from fighting Midoriya, Todoroki, and Iida finally came to him and caused him to die. All Might is fighting for a noble cause, so to all that fakes out there, come on and fight me and I will purge you from this world. The only person who gets to kill me is All Might, and All Might is worthy. The paramedics arrived and took Stain's body, and Izuku reprimanded the blue-haired boy, saying, what if you got killed by the hero killer? Do you think that everyone would be happy with your death? No, damn it, Iida. I know you want to avenge your brother, but you can't just go in and fight the hero killer expecting you to come out alive. Izuku sent the three boys to the hospital because Iida was paralyzed by the hero killer. As Todoroki concurred with Izuku, good Iida, but know that if you ever consider fighting a villain alone without telling Class 1A, I will show you pain like no other. I know I'm sorry for what I did. I shouldn't have gone alone. I should have left Stain to the professional. I'm truly sorry for what I did, but my emotions got the better of me, and I only thought of my brother and what would have happened if the hero killer killed my brother. As Izuku spoke to Iida, the blue-haired boy with glasses nodded in fear, realizing that Izuku had punished him for not following his advice. Then, the chief of police, Kenji Saragame, who was actually a humanoid dog, entered and asked, are you three who fought the hero killer known as Stain? The three students nodded, and I said, I am the police chief of Hosu Kenji Saragame. Why would the police chief visit this location? Kenji told the 3 students, wait a minute, if Iida hadn't saved Manuel from being killed by the hero killer, then Iida would have died. Todoroki inquired, I'm here to speak on the fight you guys had with Stain. You 3 went to fight a villain with unauthorized use of your quirks, and given that there was no supervision and have broken the law. The fire and ice user flinched as Todoroki shot back at the police chief, saying, you're saying that it's okay to break the law as long as it saves someone. Kenji said to the students. Midoriya narrowed his eyes, and the 2 were perplexed at the statement, you were going to arrest us, weren't you? The green-haired boy's words caused the other 2's eyes to widen. While Todoroki agreed with Midoriya, Izuku told the chief of police, what? Both Todoroki and Iida said, are you saying that we should have just let Stain kill our classmates? Heroes are supposed to save people's lives, and our classmate Iida needed saving. He would have been killed if it wasn't for Midoriya and me being there. Todoroki told the police chief, now since you 3 were fighting and broke the law, we're not going to arrest you, but that means that the credit will be given to Endeavor. Also, there was a video that got leaked to the public, here, take a look at this. As he played the video of Stain giving his speech, Kenji stated, we would have arrested you all for your actions, but considering that the public would have rioted if we had done that. The 3 of you nodded, and Kenji nodded his head before leaving the room. The official report is that you all were given clearance to use your quirk to save a pro hero. While strolling through the hallways, Midoriya received a phone call from Uraraka asking, Midoriya, are you okay? I heard that you fought Stain. Calm down, Uraraka, you sound like my mom. As Uraraka hung up, she said, I'm fine, just go back to your work studies, I'll tell you all about it later. Todoroki told Midoriya that Iida would be fine, but Iida said that he would need surgery and that Todoroki was concerned that he was going to some sort of hand crusher, which made Iida laugh and Izuku snicker in amusement. As Izuku and Momo's skills improved over the course of the previous week, Izuku discovered something new about himself. He discovered that he could detach his soul from his body, a phenomenon he dubbed astral projection. And also continued using his curse magic. Momo worked on refining her creation without running out of energy, but now it takes longer for her creation quirk to wear her out. All of them returned to Ua as Kirishima and Denki made fun of Bakugo's ridiculous hair, which infuriated the explosive boy. While they were discussing their hero internship and the viral video of the hero killer, they met All Might in Gamma Field and announced to the class that they would be holding a resume training race. As the race began, All Might Zero used his tapes to swing around, while Izuku flew without transforming into his Dark Raven form, and Midoriya won the race. Aizawa discussed the final exam in class, saying, this final exam is not going to be a written exam, this is going to test your mind and body. Everyone had their test results, and Momo was asked for help, so she agreed. In the cafeteria, Class 1A was talking about the final exam when Monoma struck Midoriya's head. Midoriya's won the race, but congratulations everyone, your quirks have gotten stronger, keep this up and start preparing yourself for the final exam, she said, and everyone agreed. Oh, I'm sorry, but your head was so big that I couldn't get past. Izuku glared at him, causing Monoma to pause for a moment as he used his powers to push him against the table, leaving everyone staring at Izuku in disbelief. Kendo approached Izuku and said, hey, I heard you were talking about the practical exam, I think it's supposed to be fighting against robots like the entrance exam. Really, how do you know that? Izuku asked, a friend of mine told me about it. Kendo then left to pick up Monoma. In class, the students were discussing how easy it would be to defeat robots. Hey demonic freak, in the finals I'm going to be the undisputed winner and I'll put you 6 feet under. He turned to face Todoroki, saying, and icy hot, I'll kill you too. He told Izuku and Todoroki, alright, everyone, study hard or don't, I don't care either way. As the teacher emerged, Aizawa said, now we will begin the exam and it is possible to fail this exam, so unless you want to go to the training camp, don't fail this exam. The teacher then spoke. Nezu emerged from Aizawa's scarf and declared, this exam will be different from the last exam. The students appeared perplexed. Today you will not be dealing with robots, today you will be fighting the teachers of Ua, Nezu said, causing everyone to gasp. Not only that, but you will be in pairs and were voted upon by grades, fighting style, and interpersonal relationships. Aizawa told the class, Yaoyorozu will teamed up with Todoroki and Midoriya with Bakugo will be fighting, but All Might, me, interrupted, leaving Bakugo shocked but grinning evilly at the top hero, while Izuku showed little concern. All Might explained that, compressed weights, and that these handcuffs will give us a handicap and it eats up stamina and is hard to move. But Bakugo told All Might, you're underestimating us. Work together to beat me you two. As it showed who paired with whom and what teacher, your time limit is 30 minutes. You can either handcuff your teacher or can run out the stage passing the exam. Bakugo and Midoriya vs. All Might was the next match after all the teams had gone to pass their exams. Izuku thought to himself, we have to come up with a plan. Fighting All Might would be an option, but if we take too long we won't pass the exam. But knowing Bakugo he won't listen, so let's go with his plan. But if it fails and we take too long we have to pass this exam. As All Might emerged from the smoke, he punched with so much air pressure that it pushed Bakugo back. Now hero, come at me with all you've got. All Might flew to Bakugo, but the explosive boy tried to blind the top hero with his stun grenade, but All Might covered his eyes and said, come at me fine, but don't cry when you die. Izuku Azeroth Metrian Zinthos, the symbol of peace, was grabbed by the face by All Might before Bakugo could do anything else. Izuku used his Dark Raven form, and it flew, hitting All Might as Bakugo blasted his way to All Might and let out a powerful explosion. As he shot his blast at him, but dodges and punched Izuku, but the green-haired boy phased though his fist surprised All Might and punched him in the face while fusing his powers with his fist, blowing All Might out in the air. Bakugo's body was frozen, so he tried to move his muscles when All Might crashed into a building. However, he quickly recovered and punched Bakugo away before racing to Izuku to try to hit him. Bakugo's use of his explosions caused him to spin around in the air, creating a tornado that was about to hit the symbol of peace. Take this All Might now die howitzer impact. Bakugo then blew up All Might with a massive explosion that engulfed All Might. However, Izuku created a purple barrier to prevent the explosions from striking him. When the haze cleared and All Might was on the ground, Izuku released him, believing he was finished. Izuku flew at All Might with Bakugo, but the sign of peace grabbed the explosive youngster and slammed him into Izuku's body, leaving a huge hole in the ground. All Might sprang up before the two could react and punched the two, sending them flying into the building. Bakugo utilized his explosions to catch up to All Might, who whirled around and struck the youngster too quickly for him to respond as Izuku flew through the air and All Might leapt high, punching him to the ground and hitting the ground. As All Might fell to the ground, he said, I now understand why you're mad at young Midoriya. He has so many abilities and versatile quirks that it makes you mad, and that no matter what you do you will lose to him every time. I'd rather lose than to team up with that demonic freak. Izuku noticed this and surprised All Might as he grabbed Bakugo and fled into an alley and dropped him. Listen well dumbass, you always bitched about winning. So unless you don't want to win this exam you can die for all I care. But I'm winning this exam, so what we will do is you will fight All Might keeping him distracted, while I fly my way to the gate and to let us win this exam. So let's go win this exam, but if you stop us from winning, if you don't stick with the plan I have, I will torture you until you beg from death, and when you do I won't stop once you ask for death. Got it? Bakugo stared up at Izuku with his characteristic four red eyes as he said this in his demonic voice. Bakugo wasn't stupid. He knew that if they didn't pass this test, Izuku would actually torture him to death and then torture him to death again for amusement. As All Might ran to find out where the students were, Bakugo came out and blew him up with his explosions. He then grabbed the pin on the gauntlet and pulled it out, causing another huge explosion. Bakugo flew past with his explosions, and Izuku flew back, saying, damn it, this demonic freak shouldn't even be here. The worst part was that this demonic freak won every battle he had with the Green Boy because of his numerous quirks, which infuriated him. As he ripped Bakugo's gauntlet from both Midoriya and Bakugo, he said, look, those explosions didn't defeat All Might, there's no way it did, just go and I'll deal with him. Huh, interesting, and what will you do after that? Give up, young Bakugo, he firmly stated. No, never, I would rather die before I would ever give up on defeating you, All Might. He then snatched the explosive youngster and crushed his head on the ground after punching Midoriya away. All Might attempted to free himself from the chains that Izuku had made that ensnared his legs, but despite his special ability, he was unable to do it. He then grabbed Bakugo, teleported to the gate, and won the test. Kirishima, Mina, Sato, and Kaminari were at class the following day. Iida said to the students who failed the final exam, hello class. As Aizawa entered the room, everyone paid attention to their teacher. Ah, I can't believe we lost. Mina complained. Yeah, it's sad that we don't get to go with you. Kirishima said, don't worry about, we going to tell you everything that happened at the training camp. He grinned as the failed students cried out, "What? Yes, even though some people failed the practical exam, you didn't fail the written exam. Now since we students who failed the exam will be going." Aizawa addressed the entire class, saying, also while the teachers were on the villain side they made sure to leave a clue to see if the students could win, while we see how you could react. Kirishima exclaimed, "So we can go to the training camp," with excitement. As everyone left for their homes, Aizawa nodded and said, "Now get out of here." However, when his phone rang, Midoriya answered it with a, "Hello." Midoriya, Momo, I was wondering if you would like to meet up at the mall, sometime. Midoriya bowed his head. As Midoriya made her way home to meditate and sleep, she said, "All right, I was going to see if they have books in the market." When Momo, Jiro, Uraraka, and Mina parted ways the following day, Izuku was in the mall with them. As Izuku started to search the mall for the bookstore, the hooded man exclaimed, "Hey, I'm a big fan of you the way you won in the sports festival. Shigaraki, I know you're there. One more step and I'll use my telekinesis on you and tell everyone that you're here," Izuku says, sensing an awful emotion in the man who was speaking. Shigaraki now grunts, "Tell me what makes Stain different from me, especially after I sent the Nomus to Hosu City." But the hooded guy paused, saying, "We can talk at a distance now, no need to get up close." "I don't understand." In response to Shigaraki, Izuku said, "Even though I dislike his ideals and Stain, at least he didn't flee like cowards like you and my brother. He wanted to correct society and eradicate false heroes, but he keeps going even though he lost. After all the chaos I did in Hosu, the hero killer still got in the spotlight." Izuku said, "That's it, that's what it is, that's why people keep smiling, it's all might," to the villain Shigaraki, who grinned slyly. Without the peace symbol in the photo, he is the one who keeps people safe and secure. "Thank you, see you later, Midoriya." As Shigaraki left the mall, the green kid said angrily, "Damn it." When Shigaraki arrived at the bar, he was greeted by Dabi, Toga, Spinner, Twice and Compress, and Wrath, the demon who had been present at the USJ attack. "Have you seen my sibling?" Shigaraki bowed his head and said, "Yes, I saw that green youngster. We need to take one of his small companions. If we can kill or torture one of them, that will be a serious blow to my brother Izuku and bring forth my master." "Who is your master?" "Someone you shouldn't worry about," Shigaraki inquired. Izuku was attempting to meditate while the rest of his classmates were riding the bus to the training camp. However, he was distracted by the commotion and the intense red light of the gem on his forehead, which is a sign of another precognitive vision of the future. When Izuku looked closer, he saw that Shigaraki had changed from having blue hair to having white long hair, that his skin had turned red, and that instead of having 2 eyes, he had 4 red eyes that began to glow and shoot beams of energy out of them at an innocent child, disintegrating the poor child into ashes as the now demonic Shigaraki laughed evilly. He saw a city on fire, buildings destroyed, and demons killing and torturing civilians and pro-heroes everywhere. "Hello Eraser. Gaze at us with awe and excitement, we are the wild pussy cats." They all struck a pose as the bus came to a stop, leaving the class in confusion. I researched them, the wild pussycats, they mainly do rescue work for the past 12 years. Pixie Bob attempted to grab Izuku's face, but was stopped by dark energy. "I suggest you think about your actions very carefully, I'm not in the greatest of mood." His eyes lit up and said menacingly, causing Pixie Bob to nod in fear. The best part was that Izuku didn't have to deal with the rock monster like everyone else. When he arrived at his destination, he was greeted by a feast, followed by the rest of the class. Izuku was trying to meditate, but something stopped him, a little boy wearing a red hat. "So huge. Everyone, we own this land." "What? This is the training camp." Izuku shot up and flew up and flying to the destination. After everyone thought, "What? This is the training camp." The next day was Class 1A training, and Bakugo was dripping his hands in water to increase his explosions. "Hey, Midoriya wants to jump in," Kaminari told him, "and get wet, no thanks. Hey guys, let's see what's on the other side of this pool," a certain pervert said, turning red to use his sticky balls to attach to the wall blocking the boys and girls. However, Izuku's power threw him into the air before Mineta could climb up, and Midoriya caught him and dragged him away. Izuku is training by using his soul self to see if he can use something called astral projection or soul projection, which he read about as an ability to push one's soul out of the physical body. After a few minutes, his soul came out of his body, as it looked back to see his physical body still in meditation form. Yaoyorozu is eating while creating things with her quirks to decrease the time and increase the things she could make. Todoroki is trying to use both sides of his quirk by switching between fire and ice. The others are also working on improving their quirks. Aizawa, there isn't a ghost. Midoriya, why are you suddenly a ghost? My body is exactly where I left it. Holding the bridge of his nose, Aizawa remarked, I'm not even going to try to understand what you just said. I just pushed my astral form out of my body or soul to make it easier to understand. But whatever, just keep doing what you are doing. Izuku flew away and then returned to his physical body while eating their food. Izuku brought food to Kota, something he wouldn't normally do, but because of the emotions in this child, Kota asked, how did you know where this place was and who are you? I've brought food for you to eat, so please take it away. I apologize for being here, I didn't want to come here. Look, I don't need your help. Just go away and never come back and show off your quirk somewhere else. Izuku told Kota, but it's clear that you don't like me because I'm a hero. Your parents were heroes, right? They went to protect people because that's what they believe in, and getting mad at your parents for saving people is a stupid reason. Kota ignored him, yelling, shut up, shut up, shut up, don't ever talk about them again, and leave me alone. As he was leaving, Kota sneered, fine, but when you need it the most, there will be a hero when you need it. The following day, while everyone was practicing their quirks, he heard a voice and followed it into the forest, where he discovered 4 demons saying, Izuku, he wants you. He also saw a body made of red energy that resembled Trigon's, saying, hello, my son. Trigon asked Izuku, what do you want, father? Izuku glared at his father. You know what I want, we are destined to be together always, Izuku, that's why I created you so that I can rule this realm and you can be by my side together, we can rule as a family, you can bring me here. I will fight every step, you're an abomination. Trigon angrily said, watch you tongue ungrateful boy. As the demons threw energy blasts at Izuku, causing him to fall to his knees, Trigon turned to his son and said, look at yourself, weak alignment with chattel, it's beneath my contempt, I will not have it. You will bring me here whether you like it or not. You will be part of this family Izuku, you will know the glory of Trigon. Trigon said to his son, Azeroth, give me strength. As the League of Villains came out, a blue fire started engulfing the woodland in another area of the camp. This is going to be fun. No, it's not. He repeated, we came here to do a job. Dobby replied, we need to find a blonde kid and a green kid. Hey demon guy, you're going to find your brother. Yes, father has spoken to my brother. He has no choice, he is related to us by blood and he will know my father's glory or he will be tortured until he unleashes father. Dobby was simply staring at the demon, and I thought my family was fucked up. As the demon drove toward Midoriya, the villain with the blonde hair, red tank top, and missing red eye. He was about to kill the child when he was thrown back by an energy burst. Kota, stay here, I'm going to deal with this freak. Izuku appeared behind him. Muscular smiled and said, that's the kid that we were supposed to capture. Muscular charged at Izuku and punched him, sliding him back. He was blasted by an energy blast, but it had no effect on the villain. As Midoriya thought he had won, a red slime began to cover the villain, giving Muscular red skin and 4 red eyes. He continued to hit him with energy blasts, adding more power behind him. Muscular tried to defend himself by putting more muscle fiber into his arms, but failed and was thrown to the ground. As the villain stood up, Izuku was in a fighting stance. Hello Midoriya, we have come to capture you for the arrival of Trigon. When you finish your mission to get our master in the living realm, you will be by Trigon's side and cause chaos and destruction across the universe. Kota was perplexed. Had this villain not already been defeated? Why was his appearance different? What's this about causing chaos and carnage across the universe? Whatever the case, he knew that this new appearance was not good and became afraid. Demon Muscular gained new powers and improved his quirk as a result of this demon. He charged at Midoriya, sending him flying, and then stopped as the villain called forth fire and blasted at Izuku. While dodging, he shouted, Azeroth Metrian Zinthos. The energy blast was directed toward the villain, but fire retaliated, causing a beam collision as the villain increased the intensity of his weaponry. Izuku pushed harder into his beams while he fought a little, and soon the beam struck the demon after consuming the fire. When the demon Muscular used magic to conjure red whips and encircle Izuku, he glowed black, snapped the whips, used magic to cast blue fire, tossed them, and the demon struck his target. Engulfed the demon as it screamed in agony, But the demon remained inside the body and used telekinesis to throw Izuku, nearly hitting him as he hit the wall. Water squirted the demon as he paused and gazed at Izuku with his 4 red eyes. The demon then sped towards Izuku and attempted to punch him, but was stopped by Izuku's arms. The demon laughed, saying, "Try all you might, Izuku, you are destined to bring Trigon to the living realm and cause chaos to universe." The demon searched through Muscular's memories and said, "I don't know what happened to your appearance, but do you remember my parents, you monster? You killed them, you did it, you killed my parents." Izuku took advantage of the situation to utilize his magic and cast a spell, saying, "Ah, your parent, yes, I'm the one that murdered them, and their screams were great as I ripped their flesh from their body, but it came at the cost of my eye, but don't worry, I'll give you the same treatment as your pathetic parents." Izuku blasted him once he separated the demon from the guy. The villain smashes into the wall, rendering the exhausted Muscular unconscious, after dismantling the demon and launching an energy blast at him. Izuku exhaled a breath of relief. When Kota was saved by Midoriya, he started to cry and said, "My hero. Everyone, there are 2 boys the League of Villains are looking for as Bakugo," said Midoriya as she dropped Kota off at the Wild Pussycats. "Great, that means the demons are looking for me, and I bet the League of Villains are looking for Bakugo." Suddenly, a roar came from the forest, and it was Dark Shadow, who appeared to be acting irrationally. Izuku cast a spell that created a fake sun, and Dark Shadow was getting smaller in size and went back in Tokiyami. He gasped, "Thank you, Midoriya," he said as Bakugo was captured by Compress. As Izuku comes in contact with Toga as the girl tries to stab Izuku, but Izuku creates a hammer and smacks Toga, knocking her back. "You know, I thought we could be together and let me suck your blood, but now I just going to slice you to death," Toga said angrily as he spots a marble. Iida grabbed the marble. "I think it has Bakugo in that marble." As Iida nodded, and on 3 Iida gets the marble and Dabi shoots blue fire, making Iida drop the marble. Kirishima grabbed the marble. "It's got Bakugo." "Okay, got it." As Kirishima tries to grab the marble but is stopped by Dabi as the 3 were blasted by blue fire. But Izuku put up a barrier to protect Kirishima and Iida as Wrath appeared and smiled evilly, "Found you, brother." As the demon pooched the barrier and broke it. As Twice handed the marble to Dabi as Kurogiri appeared in front of them. As Wrath used telekinesis to hold Izuku, Iida and Kirishima as he pushed Iida and Kirishima away and opened a portal as Dabi held Bakugo's neck. As Dabi went inside Kurogiri and Wrath went inside the portal as Kirishima went to Bakugo and Todoroki went to Izuku. "Stay back, shitty hair, stay back, Todoroki." As both portals closed, leaving Todoroki and Kirishima both speechless. Both Izuku and Bakugo are gone by villains. While the UA staff was in the office talking about the attack at the training camp, Kirishima and Todoroki were at UA a day after Bakugo and Midoriya were captured. They were visited by the other classmates, Uraraka, Momo, and the others. Nezu said, "We were attacked by the League of Villains in a training camp that was supposed to be about the students preparing for the League of Villains. We were misled into thinking that the villains would not assault the students in the training camp. As a result, 2 of our pupils have been lost, and since we are now at war with the League of Villains, there is no turning back. We got way too complacent during peaceful times and thought we were going to be stuck with small-time criminals." Present microphone. "I was angry at myself for not doing anything at the attack in the training camp and was sitting back relaxing." All Might said to everyone present. All Might pondered, maybe they are after Midoriya because of his demon form, but wait, they wouldn't know about the form since he only used it during the training battle, but why Midoriya hasn't shown anger? Snipe said, "But what baffles me is that why the League would capture Midoriya. Bakugo I understand ever since what he showed in the sports festival is his ferocity, but why Midoriya? Could there have been anyone else after Midoriya than the League of Villains, unless they were the ones who took Midoriya?" All Might thought. Kirishima and Todoroki were hospitalized. Although they remained unharmed, they were taken aback by the loss of Bakugo and Midoriya and felt defeated. While Kirishima and Todoroki were with Mina and the other classmates, they were debating how to acquire Bakugo and Izuku. "What are we going to do about Bakugo? We have to go get them, both of them," Kaminari told the others. Kirishima told his other students. Iida disagrees with his 2 classmates, while Todoroki concurs that, "Right, we can't ignore what the League of Villain did to Bakugo and Midoriya." Iida said that the professional heroes should deal with this, but Todoroki retorted that he would want them to save Bakugo if Midoriya were present. However, Asui stated that they would be no better than the villains if they saved Bakugo and Midoriya without the hero's knowledge. But Todoroki replied by saying, Look, if you guys don't want to save Bakugo and Midoriya from the villains, then you can stay here, but me and Kirishima are going to save our friends. Iida tried to talk sense into their heads as they both went off to save their pals. In order to get them to comprehend and nod, Momo comes out and declares that she is going with Todoroki and Kirishima to save their missing classmates. Iida joins, but she warns them that they will leave if they begin fighting. They departed as previously. They heard Yaoyorozu speak. We must visit John Constantine before we depart to save Izuku. Why are we going to him? While following Yaoyorozu, Todoroki asked, because I think that John knows where Izuku is and we're going to need him. They were shocked to learn that Momo had interned with the number 3 hero from London, so they approached John Constantine. After explaining their predicament with Bakugo and Midoriya, John Constantine agreed to assist them and inquired about how they planned to locate the Bakugo kid. As Momo stated that she put a tracker on the Nomu before it disappeared and that they can get Bakugo. As inside the bar, Bakugo is strapped to a chair and arms in chains. As Shigaraki spoke up, "You be a perfect candidate to GHE League of Villains as well as your hatred towards the green-haired. With you on our side you can kill the green boy that you hate as well as win." Bakugo eyes widened. "Go kill yourself if you think that I'll join up with assholes. I'll head my victory but on my terms, not you." Shigaraki sighed. "Kill him." As the door knocked, as the door was ripped open by All Might, and with him was Kamui Woods and Gran Torino. As Gran Torino speed blitz and knocks out a few villains. As Kamui Raps used his quirk to wrap around the other villains, but was burned off by Dabi as All Might was about to punch. Shigaraki glared at the number 1 hero. But before All Might could do anything, there was liquid that envelops Bakugo as well as the other league, and transports them outside. "All Tamura Shigaraki, you have brought young Bakugo as intended, but he seems to have no converted. Oh well, we still have him. Damn, he must be the leader of this whole thing," thought Bakugo. Todoroki, Iida, Momo and Kirishima put on disguise and went to Bakugo, and when they got there, the League of Villains were outside with Bakugo. As All Might was staring at All for One. "Where's young Midoriya, All for One?" "Well, All Might come to kill me again. As for your other student, he's not here, and by the time you find him he will join us along with his siblings and create a better world filled with pain and suffering." After assessing the situation, Momo swiftly devised a plan as the kids were terrified by the sight of All for One. "Okay, Todoroki. Make a ramp with your icy Iida, use your Recipro Burst to boost us over the ramp, and Kirishima, make Bakugo grab your hand." As the 3 other students grabbed onto Todoroki as he used his ice to create a ramp, and Iida used Recipro Burst to run the ramp, Kirishima stuck out his hand and said, "Hey Bakugo, grab onto my hand." Bakugo used his explosions to fly up and grabbed his hand, asking, "What took you so long, idiots?" Before they left, asking, "So where's Demonic Freak?" John Constantine approached them and said, "Okay, where's Midoriya? He was captured just like you were, Bakugo. And we're going to resume him." "Well, your friend Midoriya is no longer on Earth," Momo said to John. As Constantine bowed his head, Todoroki said, "What do you mean Midoriya is not on Earth?" "Well, he's in hell right now with his demon siblings." "Wait, hell as in where fire and brimstone and placed in eternal torture that hell," Todoroki said. "How do we go there and rescue him?" Momo said, "We're going to open a portal straight to hell. Fortunately, I know how to open portals." Just as Constantine began to speak an incantation, a doorway materialized in front of them. "All right, walk in whenever you're ready." When they entered the portal after Constantine's warning, they were greeted by a horrifying scene that would stay with them forever. The sky was red. Demon monsters were engaged in death-defying combat in structures constructed from skeletons and corpses. Screaming could be heard everywhere, and spikes were emerging from the lava. While some were chained, others were burned for all eternity. Demons started tearing flesh off humans, only to grow back and repeat the cycle. The sight of it all appalled the students. The demons noticed them while they were moving. "All right guys, these demons are not humans, you can kill these things," and began attacking John and 1A Todoroki. He used his ice side to freeze the demons and his fire to burn them. Yaoyorozu used to make a sword and slit the demons left and right. Kirishima used his hardened quirk to slam his face into the demon and beat it repeatedly as they moved around. Constantine used magic to summon a sword and slit. As the sword was generating fire. They keep going till they reach Izuku's location, and when they do, they witness something that astounds him. Izuku is tied up, with his arms and legs bound and cuts all over him. Constantine uses magic to free Izuku from his restraints. "What took you so long?" The words, "Well, we got here, didn't we?" were spoken as Constantine carried Izuku. "You're not going anywhere with my brother," a demon told John and Izuku, adding, "We have a father to resurrect and a lot of catching up to do. John, you're going to have to get this one. I can barely fight right now." Wrath's 4 red eyes glared at Izuku and Constantine as he spoke. John used magic and summoned whips to slash at the demon, but the whips slashed at Wrath and burned his skin. John then used a duplication spell, and all of a sudden 30 Johns appeared and started shooting summoned swords at Wrath. Wrath used electric magic to destroy all the clones after the demon attempted to dodge but was unable to do so due to the fact that there were 2 magic swords to avoid at once. Constantine used photokinesis to blast light magic at the Wrath, striking him and causing him to scream in pain. The problem with Hellfire magic was that it could burn not only the body but also the soul. John countered this by using photokinesis once more to blast him until it caused a huge explosion and Wrath was nowhere to be seen. Wrath regenerated and used Hellfire magic to burn John's soul, but Constantine used a protection spell to prevent his soul from being burned. "It's over for now, yes, for the time being, but Wrath will return, and he'll be furious," Constantine remarked. He was told by Izuku that, "They always do." Constantine and the other students returned to Earth when he opened a portal.
So this was the end of the series. I hope you enjoyed it. To watch more series like this, subscribe to my channel. Till then, bye bye.